All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, shipmates out there, welcome to episode 39 of the Across Your Bow podcast. I'm, of course, Sir Venom IK. You guys are right here at twitch.tv/Sir Venom IK. You guys can also hit me up on the Twitter at Sir_Venom_IK. That's me. With me today is my very special guest. His first appearance here, so be prepared for the 9 questions of averageness. That's MrModo. You guys can hit him up at twitch.tv/MrModo or at MrModo3 over on the Twitter. What's up, big guy? How you doing, man?
Oh, doing good, doing good.
Yeah, podcast 39 have had some pretty popular streamers out there. We've had some one and dones that they come in and they like I'm a streamer and then they disappear. But this is your 1 month anniversary on streaming. So what do you think so far after a month?
I'm actually quite impressed with what's perspired so far. I did not think that I would be anywhere near where I'm at right now after a month. I came into it thinking I was at like 50 followers after 3-4 months, and I would be happy with that. And I think after a couple days, Freer came in and just rated me with like 300 people, and then from there kept going up. So
I think the best part about one of the things that I've learned from being in there around this community is that if you are consistent in your streams, people will have a chance to come and see your channel. And then if they like what you do, they'll come back. You be yourself. There's people out there that they don't like me because I'm very opinionated and I stand by my opinions, whether they think they're wrong or not. And some people don't like that. So congratulations, man. It's always nice. We all, I think a lot of the streamers here in the community, we're all there at one point, and there are only good things for you in the future, man. I've already seen it. So there you go. Congratulations on that, man.
appreciate it.
All right, let's jump right into it with the news, boys. Y'all ready for the news? Well, before that, what you been working on this week in the game? You've been streaming. You've been playing ranked. I mean, what you been up to?
I've been doing a little bit of rank and working on tying the Italian cruiser grind and regrinding my French DD line. So, and rank.
How are you enjoying the Italian birds and the French bows?
I like the high tier ones. The 8, 9, 10 I think are pretty solid with the staff, and even the AP switching back and forth. Everything kind of below that, I think reload's a big disadvantage with it, and then the concealment after fire and the smoke is a big one, but I enjoyed otherwise.
Yeah, definitely. With the Italian ships, it's something that we said last week here with Virtual Senpai. We were talking about the Italian ships pretty heavily, and the Italian ships are ships for people who know what's going on in the game.
Yeah,
you don't get that extra bonus fire damage. So anything that you do, say you have 100,000 damage in those, you busted your ass for that, and you really feel like you earned that. Whereas some, say just the complete opposite, like a Smolensk, you're 100,000 into damage in a Smolensk, you really didn't have to work that hard for it. That's the one separating factor I think between the Italian ships and most of the other ships that are in the game, is because that's literally the only thing you can't rely on fires other than the British light cruisers.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So tell me about ranked, man.
Um,
He's speechless, boys.
Oh yeah, I think it's a rougher season for this one, at least in my when I play it. I decided to give it a shot with giving the CV a shot, and it went well at first, and then it just I still will do damage and everything like that, but the teams are just not wanting to support at all.
Mm. I totally get that. Now this is man. I think I've been playing. I've been playing ranked seasons. I think I've ranked out every season since season 5, and I think we're on season 14 now. And this is not an enjoyable season. I think the 8 versus 8 is a little bit too many for ranked. I think if you hold it to 6 versus 6 or 7 versus 7, I think those are the ideal. And then depending on whatever tier that you enjoy, I enjoy 8, 9, and 6. I don't enjoy 7 and 10. I feel that there's an imbalance between the cruisers and the battleships, and that leads to an imbalance with the rest of the game in those particular tiers. But that's one man's opinion. There's a lot of other people that really love 7 and 10. So
I like 7 in random, but for rank, I'm gonna agree with you with. I think the 6v6 is probably the best one, and then the 7v7 is still good, but 8v8 is I think way too much, and I don't like 7 or 10 ranked battles. I like either that 6 or 8, even maybe 9, but really 6 or.
yeah,
Uh,
I agree with the 6 and 8 are probably my two favorites. The 9, the only time that they've done a 9 tier, that was it was kind of a troll season, and that was the full arms race season.
oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun playing that because I love objective based game modes like that, to where you can't just sit and camp and win the game. You have to go do these things to give your team the advantage. And I found that very enjoyable to me, and it threw a lot of people for the loop. Same reason why people don't like Epicenter is because they have to get out of their comfort zone and do something different, and people don't want to change, and they don't want anything different.
I actually love Epicenter.
I love it
Just
too. All right, so there you go. That's what's going on for me this week. 44 games to hit rank 5. And then last night I played 19 games to hit rank 5. So I've gone nowhere in 63 games other than up to rank 5. And then last night was up and down, so it was frustrating. But playing nothing but the Z52, I think I got maybe 3 games in the summers. 2 wins and a loss in that one, but everything else has been in the 52. What's your boat of choice this week or this year? Season, whatever it is.
right now it's the hack. Just because it
Oh
was the
no!
for this rank. Usually I was I actually enjoy the TVs. Yeah, probably the one weird person that actually enjoys them.
There's a few of them out there. They're all trying to transfer in from the Asia server.
But it's that or I just got the Steam Drop, playing with that a little bit. But I was watching Senpai before coming on here, and he was doing he was talking about trying that shimmy out, see the players or the boat. So I took the shimmy out and decided to do a troll build with the F3s with the torpedo acceleration, and came out with 2 kills and 109,000 damage.
There you go. That's
For
the short torps. It's a very interesting and unique perspective on that boat because there's 3 different torpedo sizes or torpedo lengths, and then there's or I'm sorry, 6 different torpedo lengths on that, 3 regulars, and then 3 with the torpedo accelerations. I think the most success I've ever had is I double killed somebody with the 9s, starting at 12 and then torpedo accelerating it to like 9. It was very interesting, but the smaller you get, the more risk slash reward it is. So
yeah,
the big 20s, you're very little risk, very little reward. Versus those versus those 6 kilometer torps with the F3s plus the torpedo acceleration is very high risk, very high reward. So and those things go pretty quick and they're hard to avoid.
and that's what's I think getting into those EU DDs with their high speed and long range that even they have.
Yeah, one of the hardest boats I've seen so far for me as a destroyer to kill is the Kleber. That thing just does way a lot of damage, and it
Oh
does
yeah,
it very quickly.
I'm surprised they haven't nerfed it yet. With I think how much damage it can put out in like a real, even in like a mediocre player will put out a good amount of damage with that.
Uh, let's see. It's been out for a little bit. I don't think they've had enough time to saturate where they can get enough.
data to do
numbers.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Because everybody knows that spreadsheet approved is basically their yeah, you're having fun on the spreadsheet is basically their mentality currently, and or more and more that we're seeing that. And so that's why the Smolensk hasn't been nerfed yet either. And there's a couple other things that need to be looking. But since it's not on the spreadsheet, or they say, oh, it's fine or it's balanced, let's put it this way, man. The Yu Yang was out for over a year before they nerfed it.
That's true. Yes.
So, and there's a lot of other boats out there that have been out for ages that they haven't touched, or if they have touched it, it's like you're touching it now. I mean, it's been this way for 3 years. Why now all of a sudden? But hey, on the back burner type thing. So, either way, news for this week. Starting tomorrow, I believe, for the anime server, patch 8.11 comes out. You excited about 8.11?
Yeah, I'm excited. I always like the Christmas containers and the chance of getting the ships and everything like that. Plus the snowflake event, and you get your chance to get some steel and coal and everything like that. For people who are unable to do clan battles and the people unable to ring. So I mean, it kind of gives them a little bit that they can even put that towards the coal conversion to get like a coal ship.
Right. Guys, as we're going through this podcast here, if you guys want to answer VenomIK, if y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything that we are talking about, I swear to God this week I'll get to it. I forgot about it last week. But we'll get to your comments toward the end of the show so we can keep the show flowing here. But that don't forget that is available if you guys have a question or something that you guys would like us to address. There you go. So let's just go ahead and go into one of the most controversial things that I think that Wargaming has done, and they're doing it again this year, and it is the aforementioned Snowflake event. Now, last year it was 8, 9, and 10. You go in there, you win a game, and then you get steel, and you could buy this steel monsters campaign, and these people aren't really earning these steals. They're not having to go through the stuff that say I went through to get my black or to get the flint and it kind of to me personally it felt like an affront. It felt like they didn't care that these people had to work for this. They just basically given it away. That's kind of feeling that I have on it. What do you think about that?
I didn't see how much they're giving away for the victories this year. If they do, I would say if they're going to give them away, they need to be like a way lower amount.
Right.
Because like you were saying, it kind of takes away from
the specialness of the actual reward when you're able to buy it now. And I know there's several other community contributors out there that think that steel was a mistake to bring out to begin with. They should have just kept it as rewards. If you want this, you have to do that. If you're not going to do that, shut up. Don't quit your bitching. If you're not going to put out forth the effort, then you're not going to get a fucking participation medal. But that's basically what this steel is participation medal in my eyes. I don't know about anybody else, but that's kind of the way I see it.
I think they did that also. With then they came out when they kind of messed up the whole Stalingrad thing of going from you had to do it in the clan battles to making it public, and then in like the ranked battles they had the old you win it so many times you get the flint and then the black all that kind of stuff. And when they moved it all over to their steel stuff, and they kind of had to try and make it available to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely do have to say I agree with it kind of makes it lose the value so much, and that's why if you're going to give it to everybody, you have to at least make them work for it. So you could give it a way lower value to have them do it, and it takes obviously a lot longer, and then they have to either choose we have to continue being patient and saving up for it to get the ship, or spend it up and use it for coal.
Right. I think it took me 2.5 years to get all 5 ranked seasons put out. because I was waiting on them to put rank seasons out. That's basically what I was waiting on. Got the first three, no problem. Got the fourth one, no problem. The fifth one, the rank season was long, but it wasn't hard to do. You just had to be patient enough, and you had to be skilled enough to go play it. And some people I've watched out there for rank seasons go 1,500 games and not rank out. And my longest rank season is 500 and something games, and that was the only tier 7 rank season that I ever played. Uh, it was a mess, but once I got the black, like a week later, the next patch came out, and they were basically giving it away, and I was like, oh my god, I was like heartbroken, and it hurt my soul. I was like, dude, I just busted my ass for 2 years. You see where I'm going with that, but either way, but anyway, let's jump into it. So from tier 8 and 9, there's the only places getting steel, and that's 75 steel apiece. So it's going to be the co-oping again, and everybody's going to do it, and I'm going to do it. You're probably going to do it because it's the easiest way and most efficient way to get it.
All right, 75 is, as you said, 75 for both 8 and 9.
75 for 8 and 9 each one, and that's fine. I'm good. I'm glad they lowered the shit out of it, but whatever. I mean, I'm going to take advantage of it.
I mean, I think it still should be a little bit lower.
Think so?
Yeah. Just like 25 and 50, between the two. This was the 75 between the both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because even 75, if you have a whole bunch of tier 8s and nine ships, I mean, you're going to come out easily 3,000 steel, something like that.
It depends on how many boats there are. I don't have a list of how many numbers of 8 and 9 boats there are. Maybe if one of the chat guys will do it, we can talk about it later on in the show. But tier 5 through 7, 400 to 750 coal is your reward there. Don't care about coal. I've got like a bajillion of it saved up. But for some people that don't have it, this is a good opportunity for you to get over that hump for the Smolensk if you're looking for the Smolensk to the John Bart to the Georgia or whatever you're particularly looking for. That could get you over the top. That's what you need. And then at tier 10, you're going to get the Santa crates. You're going to get the cheap Santa crates. There's 3 different sizes of Santa crates. In the past, they've been $1, $3, $5. I don't know how they're gonna price them out this time, but you do have the opportunity for every tier 10 boat that you have. Once you get your first victory, then you will get a Santa container reward. Now, those rewards can consist of boats, free XP, coal, flags, and camos. So take that in consideration. So if you've got everything like I do, you've got pretty much every opportunity to get as many Santa containers as you have, or as you can get. But the only downside to this is that I've already got everything, so I'm not really getting any boats.
Yeah. I don't know if I 100% agree with that Santa crate, just because it does give them the opportunity to get. I mean, I guess you can go either way with it, but just giving them, that you can go play a game with their 1 tier 10, and all of a sudden then they get the Missouri or something again.
I'm all right. I mean, the Missouri is such a good boat, and it's kind of lost a little bit of favor. I think it's lost a little bit of favor because there's more boats out there now. But the Missouri is still probably one of the strongest battleships at tier 9, and you sit there and you look at it in the way that it's the Trump wagon, and you could just make a bajillion credits out of this thing. I want people to be able to get this thing because people complain so much. Oh, man, I don't have any credits. So go play one day in all of your premium ships. Just start at tier 2 and play all of your premium ships until you get that win of the day, and then move on. And you're going to have 30, 40, 50 million at the end of that day. Now, if you've got a lot of them, it might take you a couple of days. That's when we do the gauntlet. It takes me a couple of days to get through because I got so many goddamn premium boats.
Right.
But hey, I come out of there with 60, 70 million credits, and I don't have to worry about it for a while. So I mean, that's you got to put in the work. Got to put in the work. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I definitely do that, and obviously just the weekends are really the only time I have, just because working that job from I think 7 to 3:30 is what I work. So you come home and you cook, and I only get maybe 2-3 hours of the game at night.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it does make that hard to get those credits with the premium ships, except for the weekends, and I guess that is what the Missouri is good for.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is the number one credit earner in the game. Period. Uh,
Yeah.
it just has such a gigantic multiplier, and I think that it's good that there's something like that out there for people that if they need credits, then they can go do it. But that's not to say that's the only one. Musashi's also in these crates, and I think I wrote these down somewhere. I took a screenshot of them somewhere. Let me find that screenshot of everything that's coming out. Basically, most of the boats that are unavailable are going to be available in these containers. So we're talking old school boats too,
The
ladies and
Nikolai,
gentlemen.
the
Yep,
Belfast.
Nikolai, Belfast, Kudersoff is in there.
Hmm.
Some really strong boats, and they're so strong that they decided to remove them from the store for one reason or another. Uh, Enterprise, if you're a CV guy, the Enterprise is going to be there. Enterprise is a really nice boat. It's probably, I honestly think that other than the Hack, it's probably the strongest CV in the game,
I would agree.
especially at Tier 8. But unfortunately, it has too many planes in a squadron. But that's a whole nother podcast on its own for CVs. But either way, what do you think about some of these boats? So, are there any boats on that list? Hold on, I'm still trying to find the list, guys. Just give me a second here. Any other boats on that list that you're looking forward to that maybe you don't have?
There's a couple. I think I counted through it, and there's about 9 of them that I don't have.
Uh-huh.
A couple of them I really don't. If I get them, I probably will never hardly play them. Like
Right.
the Udaki and
Yeah, Udachi's is not the best.
there's some other ones.
The Yahagi and the Udachi, probably some of the worst boats that I've seen that they've come through and they've actually released. Some of the worst ones. I don't have that list anywhere. I thought I screenshotted it, but apparently I did not.
Let's see here. I think I have it. You can.
Either way, some of the ones Mighty Mo Musashi. Let's see, Nikolai, the Kamikaze, the Fujin are also on those lists, which are very good at Tier 5. The Julius Caesar's not in the store anymore that you guys can pick up, and that thing is still broken, overpowered for a Tier 5 battleship, especially when it averages more than some of the Tier 6 battleships. There's something wrong with that.
That
So
is
that one's
favorite boats to play too.
yeah. Oh, it's really good. It's really good. If you can have good RNG on your things, but good RNG on your shots, that's an important thing. Uh, I'm trying to think of anything else. The only yeah, go ahead and link it, Malikin, if you would, please. The only thing that's on there that I don't have and I really don't care to ever have is the hood. I thought the hood I sold it for a reason because it was a piece of trash. I can't hit anything with that those guns are so just terrible and inconsistent that I absolutely hated playing it.
So I had this. I thought the same thing. When the hood first came out, and even up to like recently, it just the dispersion was terrible. I don't know if they gave it a buff or something and didn't tell anybody, but I took it out. I think I took it out like 2 weeks ago, and when I shot it, I was like, "What the heck is going on with this?" I ended up getting like 3 citadels and a whole bunch of other stuff, and I was just really kind of baffled that it was able to do as good as it did.
Man, I was playing a game in it. I'll just give you a little real quick. The game that I sold the boat on, I was missing people from 4 kilometers away. Like literally, it made me so angry that the fact that this guy's 4 kilometers away from me and I'm spraying the guy down, splashing him. I'm locked onto the guy and I'm not having any lock on bug. The boat is trash. And then I put that video out on YouTube, and the first comment was, "Well, you didn't play the boat right." And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Even if I was out in the middle of nowhere, I wouldn't have hit the guy. I mean, you missed the entire point of that free particular video of look at what I'm shooting at. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. Look at how I'm not hitting anything. I immediately sold the boat after that. So I am
The same experience with the Georgia. When the Georgia came out, SPR in chat can testify this. We went up in one of the games, and the Yamato was like 4 kilometers away, something about like that, and every single shot missed. Couldn't, and it was broadside, and I couldn't hit a Yamato at like 4 kilometers away, and I was pretty much done with that boat after that for a long time.
I don't. I have a very negative disposition for any double gun battleships. I Nothing about them appeal to me, and everything about them screams, "Get away from these things. These things are trash." When you're playing as a battleship, or when I'm playing as a battleship, I have a certain expectation. If I put my guns downrange, I need them to hit because I only get a limited amount of shells per game. Every 30 seconds, I have that volley, and I need to make those the most effective and most accurate shots that possible. You can't do that with 8 guns, but you can do it with 12. You can do it with 9 because there's offsets, right? So when you're having, you're not going to be able to see this, but the guys at home will. But when you're having your gun shots and they flare out, right, and it's double gun, there's no overlapping with these shells. They might overlap a little bit, and every once in a while you'll get a shot that comes out where it's kind of flat and it's like one gun from one shell, one gun from another gun, or one shell from the other gun, one gun from the first gun, and then where it lays out flat together. But for the most part, dude, they tend to go their own fucking direction, and they split high, they split low. You have shots that come out looking like 4 pips on a dice. And it's so frustrating, and you get that a lot with the double gun chassis. Now, if you have a lot of guns, like say you have 10 guns of the 10 guns of the Texas, or 10 guns of the Amagi, or the 8 guns of the Nagato, they kind of counter each other. But they kind of counter that. But when you have 9 guns and you're firing off 6 at a time, there's a lot more margin for error, and there's a lot more overlap area. So you're more consistent. You actually feel like you're able to hit shots consistently, even if it's only one. It doesn't look as bad. That's my biggest issue with the double gun battleships, and that's why the majority of them I really don't enjoy past like tier 5 or 6. Like Futso is okay, it's kind of shotgunny, but it's tier 6, and it's what you expect. Tier 7, you expect it to be better, and Nagato's a piece of trash. I don't care what anybody says. The Amagi is very hit or miss. You either do everything one game, and then the next game you do nothing. That's my experience in the Magi. But I'm not even going to go into the German battleships because we all know that there is a change coming for those that we'll talk about here in a second. So when it came to the hood, I saw that and I was like, nope, I'm not even going to do it. So I sold it. So I very much expect to get that boat back in these damn Christmas boxes, and I'm going to be so mad. I'm going to be so mad when I do that I'll probably sell it again.
After the Christmas, obviously, to be done with, to sell it. This way you don't sell it and then get it right back again.
Whatever. I mean, I'll probably end up selling it. If I get it really quickly, I'll probably end up selling it again anyway, just so I could get it again. Just to be like, no. Yeah, I don't know. It's good reaction videos, right? So Nikolai Grimyaski's another one that's pretty rare out there. It's still not. I don't think it's as overpowered as it used to be. I think it's been power crept a little bit. It probably, out of all of them, the Grimmy could probably come back and be sold today. I don't think it's. I don't. The reasons why it was overpowered aren't the reasons why it shouldn't be in the. The reasons why it's overpowered are gone.
Yeah, the stealth firing.
The stealth firing, yeah, it's gone. So why not bring the Grammy back? It's still, I find it pretty overall. But Kamikaze Fujin, Julio Caesar, the Belfast, and the Kudrsoft. Now these are two that really, really strong boats. Is the Belfast overpowered? I don't think the Belfast is overpowered in today's game. But when it came out, oh yeah, it was really strong. Kudrsoft, I don't think it's overpowered ever. I don't think it was ever overpowered. And I don't understand why they got rid of it, but then they gave us the Smolensk, so it was like, You take away this one, but then you bring this one in. It doesn't make sense to me. Enterprise, we've already talked about that. Missouri Musashi is another one, another really good one. Not as accurate as the Yamato, but still really powerful guns when you make some damage. Let's just go down the list. I'm not going to talk about every one of them because there's a lot, and I will leave a link in the comment or leave a link in the description for you guys over on YouTube if you guys want to check out the ship lists that are available. Cossack, if you guys have a chance to get a Cossack, I highly recommend that one. Fantastic boat. The Wichita, I think, is probably one of the most underrated boats out there. I think a lot of people sleep on the Wichita. Go ahead.
Do have.
Go for it.
Oh, I said that is one that I do not have that I actually would like is the Wichita.
Yeah, the Wichita, or what I like to call the Wichita. The Wichita is a fantastic boat, and I like I said, people sleep on it. It's very strong. It's very good. Atago is still available. Still probably one of the most consistent boats at Tier 8. Things to La Terrible, I just think it's a terrible boat. Loyang, if you guys don't have a Loyang, is very strong. I really do like it. When its hydro is up, it's probably one of the strongest DDs at Tier 8. When its hydro is down, it's one of the weakest DDs at Tier 8. Just take that in consideration when loading. It's got really weak torps, really weak guns. They're Seahull Benson, so you only get 4 guns, but with that 5.5 kilometer hydro makes it the strongest at the tier when it's up. So Nelson Duke of York, the Hood, another one to avoid. Scharnhorst is out there for some people. Some people like it. My personal favorite, the Atlanta, is in this.
I love the Atlanta.
It's my personal favorite in the game. I've got over 2 million experience in that thing and almost 2 million in the Flint. Yeah, so I like this one. I like this one a lot. I recommend it. I don't recommend it for new players because you do have to know the maps. You do have to know the maps to make that boat work for you. But if you practice at it, you can get it. It's pretty good. Another one that I think people sleep on. The Ashitaka is actually surprisingly good. I know it's got the double gun turrets, but but it's really strong when it hits. I like that one better than the Nagato. Let's see, Boise's good. Another one to avoid, the Prince Prince Otto to Frederick. Avoid that son bitch. He agrees. Let's see.
Avoid the Indianapolis too. The only thing I think it really has going for it is the radar.
Indianapolis came out is a pretty good boat overall. It's very squishy, but it did something for me that I think a lot of people could stand to play that boat. The AP on that boat is phenomenal, and if you play, it'll start teaching you. Number one, you're going to have to wiggle. And it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to get citadeled off the map. So just understand that going into the Indianapolis. But its AP is so good that you can take 5,000-6,000 damage off the side of battleships. You can absolutely destroy, dominate cruisers with it if you're on the broadside. So it taught me how to switch over and when the proper times was to switch over. And I think that a lot of people miss on that. So I like the Indianapolis, but it's very squishy.
I think it's also a little sluggish in its in how it handles too.
Yeah,
and that's my. Definitely. I think that's the biggest issue with it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Heidi is good. Pick that up. Sims, give or take. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not. What else? Ark Royal. I'm going to avoid that with like the Plague. I'm sorry, but Tier 4 and Tier 5 boats that go into Tier 8 games just doesn't. It's good in operations.
Yeah.
It's great in operations, but fuck the rest of it. Dunkirk Q. I like the Dunkirk Q. A lot of people don't. What do you think?
The Dunkirk. I think it's a fun ship to play. I don't really use it for the AP. I use it more for the HE and stuff.
It's good. It's the 35% fire chance on it. It's really good fire starter if you need it in a pinch. When you get up close, I've death struck cruisers, death struck battleships with this thing. It's really good. You just have to angle it correctly, and you can actually you can actually mitigate some of the damage, but some of these guns, when you're at tier 8, they can just overmatch everything you do. So you're really kind of stuck. But overall, I think it's a real fun boat. I really like it.
I like it.
Uh, Mo Noggin, they're at tier 6. The Monahan's really good. And if you're not playing it with 2 guns and the 9.2 kilometer torps, there's no reason for you to have it because it's just another Farragut at tier 6. So play the 9.2s on that one. Molotov, one of my very early uh, premium ships. Played a lot of games in it. Really good, really squishy.
Yep.
Uh, like this was the original glass cannon, I think. 180 millimeter guns, knock the ever loving living shit out of people, and sets pretty decent fires. But man, it doesn't matter what angle you're at, you're just taking damage. Period.
I
Uh,
remember. I remember getting up there, and you get the Kirovs because I mean it's basically a Kirov, and it's like the same thing as the Omaha. You get it broadside, and you're just gonna citadel the heck out of it. It took me a long time to kind of figure that one out.
Yeah, it didn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're going with that. You're just gonna take the damage. So it's just kind of okay. Let's play long range. Let's start wiggly. That's another trainer boat on how to wiggle. It's
Oh
really
yeah.
good. As for the rest of them, the only one that is of note here is the Yahagi. Avoid that one like the plague as well. That thing is hot garbage. And then Marblehead, Lima, Marblehead, and the Murmansk. Avoid those like hot garbage because they're just an Omaha. I don't like those at all. One to pick up that people also sleep on, you don't really hear a lot about, is the Hill, the USS Hill. Absolutely amazing boat, and I recommend this one 10 out of 10 times. The Hill at Tier 5 is so good. So pick that one up if you guys have a chance, and then the OK Hotnik as well. That one's really strong. But if you guys want to see the list, there's the link again, and I will link it in the comment description below. Any boats out there that I didn't touch on that stood out for you?
I think no, actually, really not really. You already hit the Ashitaka and what was the other one? The Wichita.
Yeah.
Those are the two ships that I kind of want. Maybe the Vanguard too. But I know it's kind of like
The Vanguard's such a it's such a niche. I think it can be good, can be pretty decent, can be not so great, but I don't know. It's a personal preference on that one.
yeah.
One that I didn't touch on, that I absolutely love, but everybody thinks I'm crazy for it, is the Nelson. I absolutely adore the Nelson. It during that last Tier 7 rank sprint. I ranked out on the main account in the Nelson the first time we did it, the first time through. The second time the first time on the second account, I did it in the Colorado because that's the only thing I had. And my God, when you think about Tier 7 battleships, and everybody immediately goes to what? What's the
Uh,
best? What's the best battleship at Tier 7? What does everybody immediately go to at Tier 7 when they're talking about battleships?
Dang, why am I drawing a blank?
Sign up.
Oh yeah, the
Sign
sign
up.
up.
The
That's
sign
right.
up will sit in bow in, and you can overmatch the fuck out of that nose with the Nelson's 16-inch guns. You can do it with the Colorado as well. Now that sign up's going to absolutely poop all over you too. So it's really a back and forth. Whoever has the better shot or whoever shoots faster is basically going to win that trade if you guys are sitting at that angle. But it doesn't do that to the Colorado. So the Colorado overall is better against the sign up than anything else at Tier 7.
I think the nice thing about the Nelson, because I like the Nelson too, is that all three of the turrets, granted they're all in the front, but all three of them face forward. And I think like with the Azuma, or not the Azuma,
The Azimo is it's got the 3 guns on the front, but one of them's rear
one,
facing. Yeah.
yeah, one takes that forever to rotate around. Um, and with that Nelson, if you can get that off shot of after the synop or whatever shoots, you can kind of get just enough that you can get that third gun, so you have that extra 3 guns to be able to,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Able to try to knock them down. The thing about the and a lot of people are going to say the Lion at Tier 7. And the problem with the Lion is if you have any angle, you're not pinning, period. Unless you're shooting high, you're not going to pin because those guns are too damn small. They're like 13.5-inch guns. They're not very big at all. So unless that boat's flat broadside, the Lion is just out of the question in my book.
And I mean, it's just so shotgunny too. I mean, unless you're hitting a battleship, I just feel like it's just too shotgunny anyway.
There you go. Here's there's two other boats there that I'd like to touch on real quick: the Lazo and the Irian. The Lazo and the Irian are fantastic boats, and I recommend these things. The Irian is a Kudrsav without smoke. So you're going to just kind of float around and do your thing and set a lot of fires. This thing is a fire starting boat. Irian and the Lazo. Lazo is a tier 7 boat, but either way, those two. There's just a few. Well, it's pretty much all the ones that we like in the deal. There's a few of them that they're okay, but they're not really worth mentioning here. So let's move on, guys. During that list, what do you guys think? Leave a comment right here in the chat. In the chat at SirVenomIK, and we'll talk to those a little bit later on. If you guys over on YouTube, check out the little bottom half there, and use that comment section and tell us what boats you're looking forward to picking up out of these Christmas containers if you have. All right, let's move on to the next portion of this. A big portion of this is the Puerto Rico. Now, I know you've been reading up on the Puerto Rico, and it's a tier 10 Alaska with, it's got 3 more guns than the Alaska. They're the same 305s. And it's got a bigger hull, relatively tanky for what it is, and it's got radar on it. What do you think? I know you haven't played it. I've only played it a few times.
I did not play the original Puerto Rico that I saw everybody complaining about with the thing. I did get to play the Puerto Rico before it was released on the PTS, on the test server.
Right.
And played a little bit of co-op with it.
There you go.
I liked it. I thought it actually has some decent angles on it for the most part for those back guns. I thoroughly actually I played a very similar, I felt like, to the Alaska.
It's it's pretty much exact same boat, just like another 10 feet on the back of it.
Yeah. But I did like it when I played it.
There's a lot of people that come into the channel. I'm sure you get this a little bit as well. Is it worth doing this? Is it worth this boat? Is it worth buying this or spending money on this or that?
I mean, it's all, you're probably going to say the same something similar. It's like whatever your play style is, and whatever you want to, if you want to spend the money on it, then, I mean, it's your money. But if you're a battleship player or DD player and you're not very good with cruisers, then I'd probably say don't spend your money, because either you're gonna hate it if if you're not used to cruisers or whatnot.
My opinion is this: Puerto Rico is going to be available for free. It's going to be available for free, so it's worth doing. It's worth grinding this out. Now, there's a lot of stages. There's 6 stages and 36 rewards for this thing, and you have to do every one of them without missing a day to get the Puerto Rico. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't able to get all of that. They're not going to be able to be, we're in December now. It's December the 10th, 2019, as we're recording this. And, it's Christmas time. Christmas coming, man. So people are going to be out, and they're going to be a little bit frustrated. So they might actually have to throw out some dough to finish up the section. Now, this is going to be made available throughout until January, until the 9.0 patch hits. So that's, I think they said somewhere January 13th, I believe, somewhere in that area. Don't quote me on it, because it's just speculation. So you're going to have a long time to actually get this thing done. And it's kind of like a passive thing. I mean, you're going to grind it out, and you're going to play, and but is it worth the grind?
The time and the effort, yeah. And then I was looking at it, and I think it said about 24,000 doubloons is what you you can spend the doubloons on to unlock all the
To
stuff.
unlock all the boosters. I mean,
Yeah.
that doesn't even guarantee that you're going to unlock the boat itself. You're unlocking the boosters, which I find pretty intriguing. That you're unlocking boosters for this to help your point total grow. I guess I don't really understand how they're releasing this thing. But one thing that they are going to do is it's a whole new feature in there. It's the dockyard. And you're going to be able to watch your ship being built. A lot of people are like, "Yo, this is amazing," and I'm like, "I really don't care." I'm sorry. It's a nice feature and whatever, and it looks cool, but I don't care that I'm going to be able to watch the boat. I just want to get the boat and play. I don't
Yeah.
know. I know a lot of people out there, and I've already seen the messages, in the forums and some of the community contributor things that in the discords and stuff like that. That this thing looks amazing. It's really really awesome, and I'm just like, whatever. I mean, I'm gonna play, and I'm gonna look at this one time, and that's literally gonna be the only time I ever look at it. Is the first, oh yeah, that's cool, and then I'm gonna move on. So, is this a new feature that they're going to use for things in the future? Probably. They'll probably use the hell out of it. But are you
Yeah.
actually going to watch it more than once?
Probably not.
There you go.
I think I was when I was going over and looking at it. I think they probably could have done something a little bit different and not just release just the Puerto Rico, but had like different, instead of just having one ship, like you have to choose between like three different ships potentially that they could put in there, and then how they do the season for the when you reset the line and you get the bonuses and stuff like that.
Research
Like
Bureau.
yeah, the research bureau, and like each season you can then unlock a different one. So you're not you can, if you don't like the Puerto Rico but you like this other special one, you could build that one
Right.
instead.
Yeah.
This way, it just doesn't limit somebody to Puerto Rico.
I think that yes, in the future they probably could do something like that. But since this is the first one, they tested it out on the PTR. But as you know, PTR doesn't really mean a whole lot because there's a very limited number of people actually engaging in the PTR,
Mm-hmm.
versus okay, let's just go ahead and throw it up live, and if it messes up, then we can fix it. If stuff like that. I mean, that's something that they have to look at. I agree that one ship's fine for the first one, but if they want to expand it into other things later on, then fine, go ahead and do that too. Because I gotta be honest with you, it's another ship. Will I play Tier 10 Puerto Rico? Probably not, because I'm too busy playing Smolensk. I mean, let's be real. I'm too busy playing Smolensk or trying to regrind other things than to just sit in Tier 10 and play Puerto Rico more than 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So is it worth it? Do you want to put the time in? They're going to sell it in the shop at the same time, or are they? I don't know. If they sell it in the shop at the same time, then there's something that they cannot do, and that's change it if it ends up being too strong or too weak. They cannot change it if they sell it. So if they give it away, a la the Smolensk, then they have an opportunity to go in and fix it later. So maybe they're right to give it away. Maybe they're right to give it away. I don't know.
Give it away, and then after the spreadsheet says otherwise, they can go back and then fix whatever it is, and then they can sell it to after they fixed it.
I'm sure they could do that. I'm sure they could do that. All right, what other news we got? We already talked about a little bit of the Christmas boxes. We talked about the Puerto Rico. We talked about our rank seasons, some of the reward ships that you're going to be able to get, Santa containers. Probably one of the biggest money makers that they do every year is the Santa containers. Now, how long have you been playing this game?
4 years.
4 years. All right. So you started roughly around the same time I did, and when they came out with the Santa containers the first time, oh my God, would people going nuts spending their money on this shit? I know a guy sold his turpits guy in the actual port for credits for however many credits it was. Then went and spent $100 Canadian, which is like $2.50 American, to buy like $100 worth of these boxes, and he got like seven or eight turpits back. So he made a killing in doubloons. But then they shifted it and they changed it last year to where if you had a ship, you weren't going to get that ship again. So for people like me, well, that limits what we can actually do. So I think that that's good that they're getting people to spend money, but eventually people are going to have everything, and then they're going to stop spending money. So they'll have to come up with some other way to get into your pocket. But eventually they'll do it. Eventually they'll come up with something. Uh, Gorizia. Gorizia is another boat coming out. Tier 7, you're going to be able to unlock this. It's a Italian cruiser. Uh, there's a couple of things that you have to do. Hitting people with caliber, 500 times with your main guns, earn 2 million credits, get 12 ribbons, defended or captures or assists. That's a DD1 mission, by the way. There's 4 chains, I believe. Once you're done with that, then you can get with after you get the Gorza, then you can get the Furious with a 3-point captain. I don't know why. Then you get the Ismail with a holiday camo permanent. Then you get a Gupard and a Trento of those 4 different chapters. But you have to have the Gupard to start that. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
Gupard, not too special. It's not really all that great. Uh,
All right. Yeah.
but it's an Italian ship under tier 9, so go figure. As for the rest of it, there's really not much else going on, man. Puerto Rico, there's logbook, captain's logbook. This is something I thought was pretty interesting. With the captain's logbook, you're going to be able to see all your things in a progression on shelves. There's shelves on this thing. There's books and patches, and there's 799 things that you can collect in this ship or collect in this game via ships, flags, badges. And if you are a completionist, then this is going to be a very nice guide for you. Okay, what do I have left to get? And then it will show you. You can pick the ships out, your battleships, whatever tier. And if you guys are interested in that, I will leave a link right here for you, sir. Boom. There you go. Right there if you guys want to look up the captain's logbook. What do you think of that? What do you think about that?
I like it. I kind of wish they do more of the of those kind of things that you can see your progress and other things like that. I didn't get to really look at it in the PTS, so I kind of got the picture, but I really don't know exactly what you can see. I guess 100% on it. But I like the idea. I like the idea that you can see your progress, like you said.
I agree. I really. It's always nice to be able to go into something and say, okay, look at what I have accomplished over 4 years of this boat, or 4 years of playing this game, or 3 years, or whatever. And you can really see the progression. And now I wish that this was something that had come out in versions before, because I'm going to go in there and it's not really going to mean as much to me now, because you go in there and you have 750 out of the 799. But if somebody who's starting the game new, or have only been playing for a little bit, and they see that I've only got 30 things out of 799, that gives them a goal. It gives them something to shoot for.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Even when I was playing, when I was coming up, and I think I'd only been playing like 6 or 7 months at the time, and I was a battleship player at the time, and I got to what was it? The New Mexico. I unlocked the New Mexico. I was like, yeah,
Fantastic boat.
I got past the New York, and I'm up to the New Mexico, and I was like really really happy for it. That was back when the grind was real. They only had what, 4 or 5 camos and stuff like that. So the experience was that
very low.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how you get 150 games at tier 8 before you go into tier 9. But that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. You actually learned how to play the boat. You actually learned a lot of different situations that these people nowadays, they don't have to learn to get past it. And I think to their detriment, and I think to the overall, not health of the game, but the overall skill level of the game has gone down quite a bit once they started introducing more and more camos, more and more flags, more and more bonus camos, to give you something other than credits.
Yeah.
And higher the higher and higher you go, the easier it is for people to get to tier 10. Now, so but
And
it's not it's actually not a bad thing because people are getting to play what they want when they want and how fast they want to go progression on their own. So
yep. On that note with camos, I've always kind of like looking at the permanent camos. I kind of have a problem with how they do that. Because each one of like the camos that you can unlock or you buy or whatnot, yeah, it's a different skin. But then you look at like the abilities and the stuff that it gives you, they're all the same. It's like why am I go buy this one over here because it looks cool if it gives me the same stats and everything at this one over here? And
the reason you buy it is because it's permanent. You don't have to
yeah,
change it. I think that
one though that's already the same stats, and you have this other permanent that has the same stats. So you have two permanents with the exact same stuff. So one of the examples, like the Musashi, you have it's standard permanent camo, which is one thing, and then you have the high school fleet one, which is different. That gives you commander XP and takes away, I think, from like your overall XP or something like that.
Right.
So unique ones, and that's what I think. If you're going to do camos, I'd like to see each one different.
Well, I agree. I understand what you're getting at, but I disagree that they should be different. If there is camos out there, there's going to have to be something to separate them for people to want to buy them. And I don't think the stats are the most important thing. It's how they look. Because let's be honest, other than that, would you ever fucking use Ocean Soul camo if it didn't have 20% credits on it? No,
Probably.
because it looks like shit, right? And it's god awful. But if the Montana Crocosaur camo didn't have anything on it, would you use it? Yeah, because it looks badass. You know,
I'm a big fan of those camos. In my opinion, I don't like them.
I don't think that they're worth on some ships. I think at tier 10 they're worth buying if you don't have another camo already for the premiums or for tier 10 boats like the Yamato. If you don't have a camo for it, then fine, go ahead, because then you're just losing money with the way the economy works. But that's about the only ones that I would sit there and say, okay, this is worth buying it on, and that would be tier 10. The permanent premium camos that you buy that aren't like specialty camos, the Halloween events, the Christmas events, or whatever reward system that they have to get a new camo. Those are the only ones that I really care about. I want to get those so I don't have to spend that 8,000 doubloons to get the tier 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
So don't buy the premium camos, man. Just wait until they're an event for one out there. I think the Hipper's getting one this year. So if you don't have the Hipper camo, just save it. Just save it because you're gonna get a permanent premium camo. I don't know what the stats are on it, but hey, it's for free. So there you go. Might as well take that. What are you guys' thoughts on camos and all that? Let me know right here in the chat. Are you ready for the 9 questions of averageness, man?
Yeah.
All right, guys. If y'all don't know what this is a deep dive into MrModo's psyche. That's right. We're going to tell you all the beautiful things about him. We're going to get to know him a little bit better, so you guys might. Hey, if you guys don't know who he is, maybe I'll go check out his channel. All right, you ready? Question number 1. How did you find World of Warships, bro?
So how I found World of Warships, I was I was PCSing between Fort Drum and Hawaii at the time, and I was home on my 30-day leave, and my buddy, because we've been playing War Thunder together, and he came up and he was like, "Hey, I found this one. It's free to play, and it's so he's like, let's download it and we can play that together." So I downloaded it, played it, and I've been playing ever since.
There you go. Simple enough. Guys, we're hanging out with MrModo. You guys can hit him up on his Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MrModo, or over on his Twitter to get all the updates when he goes live and all that nonsense and all the beautiful musings that come out of his brain at MrModo3 over on the Twitter. Of course, I am Sir Venom IK. You guys can hit me up at Sir_Venom_IK. What was your motivations to go from a player to a streamer?
So it's the same friend that got me into ships. We've been playing, we've been friends forever, and he kept talking about wanting to, start streaming the games that he plays, and eventually I started watching, people on Twitch and stuff like that, and I was like, I could stream, and then it's another way I can interact with people that everywhere else around the world, just because I don't really get out that much for from work and stuff. So I thought, I'm like, I already play these games. I think I'm pretty entertaining for the most part with my my personality. So I was like, I'll give it a shot, and go from there. And if I have any advice, I can also pass it on to my buddy who wants to potentially start streaming. So
Well, there you go. And I tell you what, finding warships for me, and then I was already streaming when I found warships, so it was just a natural progression for myself. But when I found warships, I tried to get into the beta ages ago. Was searching for a game in between Diablo 3 and Path of Exile. I'm more of a action RPG type of player, and for some reason the grind, and I come off of Path of Exile, come off of Diablo 3, and those long grinds that those things are, and this was just perfect for me because I was desperate to play something, and this just happened to be there. So World of Warships was right up my alley with the grinds. Uh, so you're relatively new to question number 3 says you're relatively new to the streaming community as you're celebrating your 1 month anniversary. What do you hope to contribute to our beautiful community here in the World of Warships, or Twitch, to the Twitch community in general?
um I would like to provide entertainment, and even if it makes fun of myself and stuff like that, because I have pretty thick skin, so I really don't mind people you know making fun of like how I play or whatnot. But I also um I I like seeing people's reactions when after I if I'm not streaming and I hop into people's channels, and most of them have been World of Warship players, but I'll also go to other ones, um, and I'll pop in, and I usually don't say anything at first, and I'll usually drop the gift subs that I've been now known for, apparently. Um, and I like seeing especially the small people who don't have the large viewers or stuff like that, and then their face, they're like, wait, what, is this real?
Right.
And is a just is this it's seeing their happiness is really nice. So going around, especially like a couple of them have messaged me afterwards, and I'm like, I was like on the verge of giving up and quit streaming, and then this happened, so you kind of gave me new light to continue streaming. So
There you go.
it's good to hear that that you help people out with other little situations that they have in their lives. So
Well, it's a very honorable. It's very honorable. I like it, man. I dig it, and that's something that I think the Twitch community has been lacking, and I think that somebody that can bring that and that sort of attitude of not only financially, but just the attitude of I'm willing to help other people out. I think that is a part of the community, not necessarily the ships community, but the Twitch community in general is lacking on a lot of parts because there's a lot of no, it's all about me. There's a lot of selfishness that goes along being in a competitive scene like we are. Uh, you're really competing for those people, and it's always a very refreshing thing for me to be around that. So thank you for that. That's amazing. All right, so now since you only been streaming for a month, this next question really doesn't apply to the stream. So let's expand let's expand this next question. Yeah, if it is streaming, then you can go ahead and narrow it back down if you want to. But what has been your biggest setback in your life, or in your streaming career, or in your gaming career? What has been the biggest setback, and how have you overcome that?
I think my biggest setback, I think overall, has been the ability to want to interact with my chat and still, play the game as good as I can. Um, and if somebody asks questions, the getting to them as quick as I can versus missing people's questions or comments in the chat, and getting better at that, I think has been my biggest setback. Because I mean, I'm decent at multitasking in its own, but this was like a different, concentrating on the game and playing and still focusing and thinking and stuff to interact with chat was, I think, the biggest obstacle that I really had to overcome, especially only doing it for as little as I have. um, I think I've picked it up quite fast, but it was still pretty difficult to interact and still play the game at the same time.
I think there is something of an art to concentrate on what you're doing and pay attention to the chat at the same time. Now
Mhm.
it took me a while. It took me a good couple of months before I actually figured it out. But it's such an amazing skill, and I think that if there's some streamers out there that you type into their chat and then they never say anything, or they take 20 minutes to look at the chat,
Mhm.
I think that can only hurt the community. There can only hurt their own personal community that they're building. But if you can do that, then you're miles ahead of a lot of other people out there. One little trick, guys, if y'all are streamers out there that I know of, if you take your chat and manipulate that chat to where it's in your eye line, just off on your other monitor where it's in your eye line, you can see it scroll up, and that way you're paying attention to it out of your peripheral. That's the only way. That's the only way that I can figure out how to get it to work for me.
So how I got it to work is I had my chat, because how my monitors are set up. I have to look up to the top, but I really kind of miss that. I have my dashboard up on my phone, which
Huh.
sits right next to my camera. So if I look at the camera, it's right there too. So I can see the camera interact, and then I can just glance down real quick at my phone, and I can see the chat going through. And
And if it's something a lot, if some people like to type in goddamn books and paragraphs into your chat, which is fine, I don't care. Then you be like, okay, hang on, guys, let me read this. Let me look up here. Okay, yeah, yeah, totally get it, man, totally get it. The next question, man. Next question. From a WoW's player to a streamer, what have you learned so far in your journey about the community? And since you've been around the game for a while, what has changed in the community and the streaming? Changed in the game and the streaming community?
I think our community is actually like a really good community, and very very willing to, um, give information out to new players and stuff, that if they ask about it and stuff like that. Like, I know there's other games out there that people are very, um,
Passionate.
holding, yeah, passionate, but they hold on to the secrets and they don't want to give it out because they don't want that next player to be better than them.
Right. Right. And
I think,
that goes back to the selfishness of the community.
mhm.
Not
I think
worships, but in general, selfishness of people. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think our community is pretty good, at doing that for even the new players. The things I've seen change. Um, I probably have to say, the again, still kind of with the community. Even though it's still a really good community, there is, it's not as salty as other games are, but I still think that the people and their saltiness in chat, in the game chat, only kind of hurts, um, um, people who are willing to learn, but when you come out, you're like, you just should uninstall the game. I
the,
get frustrated, um, but
the chat here is asking. This is what I'm chuckling at. G Spot Man asks, "Have you seen Venom on fire?" Oh man, I hate being on fire. But no, I think that the community and us as a us as people in the community, I think we have a responsibility to educate the players. That's
mhm,
my take on it. You know, we have this beautiful platform of Twitch and people that want to come in there and look at you and they ask questions. And there for a little bit, for the first couple of months that I was streaming the game, you really couldn't get any help from anybody. I'm like, I don't understand how to play this boat. What makes this boat good? Why do people like this? What's going on? And I started asking questions. And luckily enough, my first couple of weeks that I was playing, I had some really good people, really good players come in and take the time out of their day to help me learn. And I was like, you know what? Pay that forward. Let's take our time out of our day and try to explain it in some way that people will understand. This is the area. And then that kind of evolves into let's change their mentality of what they're thinking. I want to know why you're thinking this is a good idea as opposed to no, you're a piece of shit. Why are you doing it? I mean, it's our responsibility to approach a situation in such a way that it's inviting instead of off-putting like the majority, like you're saying in the chat. Because nobody, hey, you moron, nobody's going to listen to you after that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that has changed over the past 4 years for me. I know you've been around for a while as well, and I think that in the streaming community, like I was saying, you couldn't really get a lot of help. It was just shut the fuck up, look at what I'm doing because I'm better than everybody, and
Yeah,
I think that since I've been here. And I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, it's all Venom's just talking about himself. No, but since I've been here, I've seen a lot of that attitude change to an educational portion instead of just sit back. I'm the best player in the game. Don't worry about what's happening. Just enjoy. And I think that's always a positive for the community in that direction.
exactly. And it's like it also goes back, people being salty at the game. I mean, when it really comes down, it's an online video game. Like there's really completely angry and salty over everything that happens in it is kind of mute. Yeah, you have those bad things you kind of get salty about. So if anybody ever goes to my channel, I put 95% salt free because there's going to be times that I'll probably get a little salty at some of the stuff, but I try to stay as calm headed, like clear minded as I can, and just take the game for what it's worth and help people out if they ask.
Absolutely. We're hanging out talking with MrModo. You guys can hit him up over on his Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MrModo. I think that I agree with you. I'm not even going to add to that because there's really nothing left to be said about that. Everybody gets a little bit salty, and I've had some pretty good blow-ups myself. But it's more. I think I get more frustrated with my own negative gameplay. Like if I'm playing bad, I generally take it out on myself really, really hard because I know I'm better than that. But either way.
Yep.
What would you say that makes you stand out? What makes you different? Why the hell should we pay attention to MrModo?
The beard.
The beard.
I think I'm pretty happy and like I said, pretty salt free, but I'm also willing to help out, but just because you have a different opinion and stuff like that, I'll still be able to see both aspects of both people's opinions, whether I agree with it or not. I will still listen and hear your opinion because you might have a good point on something and it's like, okay, you know what, that's actually pretty good, and it still might change my opinion to whatever we're talking about a little bit more. So
he likes cats. Do you like cats?
I don't hate cats.
Okay.
I don't have any pets, so
guys, send him a pet. Send him a pet, guys. Send him a pet. All right. I think that something that separates you is that attitude. That I'm willing to help attitude because a lot of the guys still to this day still aren't really into that mode. I just want you to know that it is appreciated, and people have brought it to my attention. Not that I'm the end all be all here, but it's definitely a good attitude, and it's definitely something that you want in the in the community. And me as a streamer, I want to help those guys out too.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I approachable too if you have a good attitude versus people who are kind of like got that bad attitude in that toxic leadership type of thing. I'm sure you're very well aware of. You don't want to go talk to those people. You don't want to interact with them. So
Yeah, I get to the point, and like I said, I've had some pretty stupid blow ups there, and just absolute rage moments. Throwing the hat, punching monitors, knocking tables over. I've done that, and it might be entertaining for some, but it's not the attitude that I would have like, oh, this guy's just fucking nothing but pure salt. I hate that attitude, and I hate that reputation, because I had that reputation for a long time, especially during that 526 game tier 7 rank season. I was such an asshole back then, and I'm still kind of an ass now, but within reason.
but I mean, as long as you know what you're doing, and you can um comprehend that you have that kind of attitude, and you can work on fixing yourself, then that's, I think, also another thing that people will see. It's like, okay, I know I'm doing this, and I will work on it, versus people who don't even notice or don't even really care to change.
Yeah. Well, I think that goes a long way. One of the worst types of players that you end up playing with, MrModo, and you know this. You maybe nobody's ever laid it out for you like this, but there's players that are bad at the game, and they don't know that they're bad at the game, and they think that you, MrModo, are the problem. And those are the people that are so frustrating, because no matter what you say, they always think that they're in the right, and those guys are hard to deal with. So totally understand that, motherfucker. Hell yeah. All right, let's move on to the next question here. Question number 7 of the 9 questions of averageness. Who influences you as a person to go to that next level? A person, an artist, a book, a movie, something you read somewhere. What motivates you to go to that next level?
um I think I'd have to say right now it's probably my girlfriend. She's probably the one that I want to get better, in every kind of aspect, just because she's way nicer than I am. So I want to, it kind of rubs off on me that I like, well, I don't want to be an asshole or anything all the time. So kind of rubs off on me that way. But I think prior to that, I'd have to say one of my old commanders um, was probably a big influence, and somebody that really um, was willing to put other things behind you, like put you in front of everything, a lot of everything else, um, to make you a better person and a better soldier, and educate you as even if it like um, kind of hurts him in some aspect, but he was very willing to go out on a limb and help you out. So um, and I think that's where I want to get to the aspect of helping more people, and putting them before really putting me um, aspect.
It's a very admirable, and I'm not just pandering here, but it's a very good thing when you have somebody that will go out of their way to look past any past things that you've done that may or may not be on the up and up, or maybe you've done something wrong, and they go out of their way to accept you for who you are, and then try to help teach you the next thing. Those people are priceless. My fucking teachers out there, and the people that support you doing what you're doing, man. It's absolutely amazing. Those people are to be cherished.
Yeah, because I was one of the only kind of instructors for what I did while I was in the service. And it was very I was dealing with like 50 people at a time, having to teach them how to, crew on an aircraft and do all sorts of stuff while doing records. And he came in and he was very, very willing to, do whatever he could to help ease like the stress. So it's like if I went up to him, I was like, hey, I need a week off of flying and stuff. He's like, hey, no problem. You do what you need to do to keep yourself healthy um, and keep yourself sane. So
I agreed, man. That's an amazing thing, man. When somebody's able to help you pick up the slack when you're at your wits end, or when you have other things that you're slacking on because you're having to do this other thing. It's pretty amazing, and I wish I'd have had some commanders like that when I was in, man, or LPO or something that was like that. But no, unfortunately, Venom got stuck out. Moving on to the next question. Question number 8. Any tips in streaming to an aspiring streamer or ships streamer?
patience. Be patient and don't try to compare yourself to other streamers. Obviously, because some of them have been out there. Venom, like you said, Venom. You've been out here what 6 years now?
Yeah, in March.
Yeah, it's been almost 6 years. So obviously, like somebody starting off is not going to be at the proficiency and the viewer base and stuff like that. So they don't need to get discouraged. If they're watching somebody else and they see them, they have like 150 or so viewers and stuff like that, and they're sitting there looking at theirs like, I only got two.
Yeah.
You patient, and kind of um, just bide the time and try to figure out a way that that you can promote yourself out there. Help make yourself different from everybody else.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest tropes that people fall into uh, is I know what I'm capable of. I'm a pretty funny guy, and then you go off and you watch somebody else, and you're like, how are people watching this dude? He just sits there. He doesn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? And people compare themselves to that. I'm like, look, this dude's probably been around for a long time, so he can get away with that. I mean, like you're brand new. I mean, it's like don't worry about what he's doing. Exactly, just like you said, because he's got his own show. Do your own show, and treat it like a show. Number one thing, consistency. If you're gonna stream at 7 o'clock, be here at 7 o'clock. Now, lately I've been very bad about that, but I'm still here majority of the week. So either way, there's just pay attention. Keep your head on your own road. Don't worry about what's going on beside you, man. Stream with blinders.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And the nasty question. You ready for the nasty question? Number 9. And what is your biggest tip for a new World of Warships player?
Probably something very similar to even that stream thing. You gotta be patient. Be willing to learn, and don't don't take what people say in chat and stuff to heart, because again, it's a video game. They don't know who you are. They don't really care. Um, mini map, yeah, mini map's another big just awareness, and ask for help. Find other people and stuff, and ask questions to people who are experienced players. But don't go out there and if you make a mistake and somebody calls you on it, don't get your feelings hurt. Because everybody's probably made that same mistake, so you don't get your feelings hurt. Don't you just move on and learn from your mistakes and everything like that.
Generally, my biggest tip for new players is pay attention at damn minimap. Make sure you have the last known positions and the names on the minimap, so you know when you're going into any situation, you know generally what's around you, whether they're actually located on the map or not. You know where they were. I think that's my biggest one. But one that I don't think a lot of people talk about. If you're a destroyer, you don't have to smoke until you're spotted. or right before you're going to get spotted. When you roll into a cap, and you see it at the really low tiers a lot. When they roll into a cap and they immediately pop their smoke.
Hmm.
Well, I'm sorry, man, but if you're not spotted, there's no reason for it. Number one, by the time that your smoke runs out, you're probably gonna be spotted as soon as it's out. Now you don't have it. Number two, you're inviting torpedoes to come into that location. And number three, you're probably trying to spot these other guys so the rest of your team can shoot. Well, now you're not spotting anything because you're sitting in your smoke. That is my that's my tip for the day.
Yeah, and even still, like even if you are detected, you don't have to immediately smoke up again. You can, obviously you can, if you position yourself correctly, you can just get out of there or whatnot, and gunfight depending on whatever ship you're going up against. But
Agreed.
yeah, the
Agreed.
premature smokulation is a crutch. It's a real bad crutch.
I agree. I thank you very much for those 9 questions of averageness. Hopefully, guys, you guys will got to know MrModo just a little bit better, and hopefully they weren't too awkward. Did you have any problems with any of those questions, man?
Not really, not really. It's just mostly it was the what to look up for. But I mean, like I said, it was the commander and the girlfriend.
Yeah,
Um,
it's hard. I know a lot of people say that that's the hardest question that they have to do because they have to actually sit and think about things, but it's generally some pretty awesome things, man. So there you go. Thank you very much for those for your candor and your honesty. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching episode 39. We're still going here. We're about halfway through. MrModo, twitch.tv/MrModo, at MrModo3 over on the Twitter. You guys can right here on the channel, twitch.tv/SirVenomIK, or at Sir_Venom_IK. If you guys haven't get all the updates when I go live or when he goes live, go hit him up on the Twitter. Set those follows, boys. Give them the follows. All right, so let's jump into another subject. We're going to touch on it very quickly, and then we'll move into IFHE. But we're going to touch on the new European destroyers. Now there was a lot. There was a lot of interesting things that had come out this week. IFHE changes, the European destroyers, the Christmas, the holiday, the New Year's holiday testing things that they got going on. And one thing that kind of gone under the radar a little bit, not too awful much, but just a little bit, and that was and you know what? I had it up and I closed it out, but it's on my Discord, so I cannot pull it up. If anybody wants to link those, those European destroyers for me real quick, we can go over those a little bit. Basically, the gist of these, there's going to be no smoke on these destroyers. What do you think about that initially?
I'm fine with it because I mean, like the French DDs don't have smoke, so I mean, it's going to be like a little bit skill based. Other than the lack of guns, so I was looking through those in the amount of guns. They're looking a lot like how the Friesland kind of is.
Well,
very fast reload. And the torpedoes.
All right, yeah, that's the big flavor of these. You got the really fast. Thank you, G Spot. You got the really fast boats. Those are French destroyers. Those aren't the EU destroyers. You got really fast torpedoes. I'm talking 80 plus knots, 86 knots at 9 and 10, dude. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then if you do, and they're at 15 kilometers too. And if you put that torpedo acceleration on it, it jumps up to 91 knots, and I think it drops down to like
11, 12, something like that.
Yeah, 2 kilometers, which is still quite good. It has the same detectability as like the French DDs, roughly 8 kilometers, 7.9 or 8.9, I think.
That's stock. So let's see. If you put the captain's skill on and concealment expert on, you're looking at somewhere around 7.5, maybe high sixes, high 6.9 or something like that. But you're looking at anywhere between 6.9 and 7. I'm not sure what the actual numbers are, but But that's their flavor. No smoke, highly speedy torpedoes, very long range torpedoes, and
Damn.
but the damages suck.
Yeah,
We're
about
talking
10,000, I think, for them.
10,200 damage at tier 10, my friends. We're talking what, boys? We're talking pre-buffed Sims torpedo damage. We're talking low yang torpedo damage. These things hit like crap, but you get a lot. But they're going to be very fast. So it almost, I'll be honest with you, man, it kind of reminds me of airplane torps at the amount of damage they do. Airplane torps only do maybe 3 to 4,000 damage, or maybe 6,000 damage, depending on how many you hit. But this is kind of what it reminds me of. Just really fast airplane torpedoes that go forever.
That go forever. Yes.
The other thing is uh, the other thing that you're looking at is really high fire rating guns. So if you are going into a if you are going into a situation to where you need your guns, these things are going to be pretty hefty, just like the Friesland is. Very fast, quick reloads. Smaller caliber shells, about 120s or so. There's hundreds on the tier two, and then I think it's 120s all the way up. And I'm just scrolling through here. Thank you, Black Cayman, by the way, for that.
Yep.
120s.
The heel and a radar.
Yeah, heel and a radar. That's another interesting thing. Now, radar's not something we generally see. Do what?
7.5 kilometers, right?
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, they're 120s from tier 3 and above on all of the guns. You have rare pair party, which is a heel on the premium version, the small land. And you have surveillance radar that's 7.5 kilometers, duration of 15 seconds, which is shorter than the black radar, which is 20 seconds. And I believe the Wu Wang is 20 seconds as well. Decent.
I don't know. I think so. Yeah.
It's not something that we normally see on DDs, as there's only a few DDs out there. I think the Yu Yang can get radar. I believe the Chung Mu, I think, could get radar, and the black has radar anyway. I don't really think that there's anything else that can have radar, DD wise.
I think it's only the tier 8, 9, and 10 for the Pan Asian, and then the black, I think, are the only radars I can think of.
So that'd be a maximum of 4. If anybody thinks of anything, let me know, and we'll call it out. But yeah, radar as a destroyer, especially previous radars with the Yu Yang, during that one rank season where it was actually good before they nerded it to the ground. Um, it was phenomenal. You had to play a little bit. It was a risky play to not have the smoke, so you were playing into your radar range, and then when it was out, you were just kind of sitting out and being very passive, almost like you're playing in German DD now, where when your hydro's up, you can be aggressive. When it's down, you can't. And then you would wait for those. What you're going to do is you're going to shoot on these people with your high firing guns at 3.5 seconds, and which you can get lower with BFT and all those skills. And you're going to force them to use their smoke. You're going to force them to defend themselves. And once they pop that smoke, well, my friend, guess what? You have radar, and now you can actually be effective while they're sitting in smoke and they can't shoot you. I wonder how these are going to take damage, because some of the boats out there, like the Gearing, they seem to take a lot more damage with AP. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll get a chance to play these before they come out, and radar on the tier 9 as well, and no radar on tier 8. No radar on tier 7. So it's tier 8 and above on this line.
Yep, and then the premium tier 10 does not have radar.
No, it takes a repair party. It takes a heal, and it's 14 seconds on the heal at 1%. 1% every second for 14 seconds. So you're getting a 14% total whatever. You guys get
that I believe the AA is supposed to be pretty good on these things too, right?
AA looks good, but the numbers are kind of confusing without actually seeing what the actual rating's going to be. Is it going to be a 60? Is it going to be a 50? Is it going to be a 70 or 80? You can kind of see. We're just going to take the let's just take the tier 10 line version here real quick. Uh, AA defenses and it doesn't give ranges. Oh, there it is. AA defense 6x1. There's 640 millimeters out there. And that's all it says.
Hmm.
That's all it says for guns, of what type of guns there are. But your medium AA defense range, 377 a hit, probability 100%, action zone 5 kilometers to 1.1 kilometer. Long range continuous damage per second at 140 a hit, probability of 100%, action zone zero point 0.1 to 6. So you're going to get a 6 kilometer AA range. 6 damage with an explosion at 1890 action zone. This is your flak, 3.5 to 6. Not terrible, not bad. The only downside that I can see to these, well, there's a few. There's a few downsides, and one of them, big one here, is the speed of these things. These things are absolutely slugs in the water. One of the slowest boats in the game right now is the Daring, and this thing is 35 knots. So it's pretty much Daring speeds here. It really slow at 35 knots. 660-meter rudder shift, turning radius, rudder shift at 4.3 seconds. It's pretty standard. Surface detectability 8.9 starting out. Air detectability 4 kilometers. Not terrible. Detectability after firing guns in the smoke is 3.3 kilometers. It's interesting. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Like, this is just kind of a, guys, this is just kind of an overview. I mean, I could kind of tell you how they're going to play, but you really don't get comfortable with them until you actually get into the play, and they're still not even on super test yet. So there's some time before these are actually going to come out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to them. That is definitely for sure.
I'm looking forward to them. I like DDs, man. I like
I
playing
did.
them.
Yeah, I started off not liking DDs and only playing battleships, and I've slowly kind of moved to playing more DDs and cruisers and very little battleships. But I was noticing on that premium, the torpedoes that they have the what I think a 1 3-barrel and 1 5-barrel torpedo launcher.
Right.
Um,
1x3 and a 1x5. Maximum damage of 10,700, rage 15, 86 knots. Reload time is 110 seconds, which you can get lower with the torpedo reloader, which people are going to recommend this, and I kind of recommend it. With 110 seconds, you're lowering it down to German DD levels.
I think it's the tier 7 I was looking at, and that thing has a 55-second reload, I believe.
That's insane. I think the lowest that you can get in the game right now is the Benham at tier 9, I believe. If we're talking about higher tiers, like, we're not going to talk about Kamikaze and Smith at 11 seconds or whatever it is at tier 2. So these are boats that people are going to play quite a bit, and 55-second reload time. That's nuts.
I can definitely see the torpedo acceleration being played on this thing.
Now the ranges on the torpedoes, they kind of shift, but being maximum of 15 at 9 and 10. Starting at tier 5, they're 9.5. Tier 6 will go to 9.9, so almost 10, and then at 7 they go to 10.1. No, that's firing range. Where's the torpedo range? 12 kilometers at tier 7.
I know tier 2. I think tier 2 is like 8. They start off at 8 kilometers.
10 kilometers on tier 6, and that's firing torpedo tubes. 9 kilometers at tier 5. 9 at 4. And 8 kilometers at tier 3. So there you go. 8 kilometers from there and below, and then at 12 at 7. And 8 is, looks like 12 as well, and then 15 for 9 and 10. It's a pretty decent progression, actually. Some of the boats out there, like the American line, you're at like 5.5. Then you go to 6.4, and then you go to 9.2. But like at the end of that boat, and then you're at 9.2, 10.5, and then 16.5. So that's kind of a hard progression for players to get used to those boats, because they have a very particular play style until you hit the Mayhem at 7. And once you get those 9.2s, then it opens up a whole nother world of utility for the American destroyers. Whereas these are going to have that, they're going to have that utility from the beginning. So it's going to be interesting.
Oh, most definitely, most
Most
definitely.
definitely. Uh, there's one thing that a lot of people are saying, that the majority of these boats are all Swedish, and I know a lot of people were a little bit upset about it, and like me personally, I really don't care. It's just more content, but being from America, you want to see things that you understand and be represented in some things. And so for some of the people in the European countries, they don't see something from their home state or their home country or whatever it is. Uh, I can understand why people get upset. Look, yours is a pan-European thing, and then you chose all of these Swede boats.
Yeah, and then like two of them are what, the Austrian, Hungarian, and then Polish.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Uh,
I don't know, man. It could have been as simple as this, Mr. Moto. Let me put this. See what you think. It took them absolutely ages to get any British boats in other than the Warspite. And the reason it took them so long to get anything other than the Warspite is because the British government was like, no, we're holding on to this. 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 And they could not get rights to those designs. Now, the only reason we got Warspite is because Warspite was retooled or refitted or something here in America. So we had those plans, and they were like, sure, go ahead. And so that's why the Warspite was in early in the game. So maybe that's a factor as well. I don't know.
it could be. It could very well be. Also, yeah, that's probably the most likely. And then I was looking. If you think about, the majority of the ships here are World War II ships, and then you look at what countries could have a navy that are on the coastline. Spain, I was pretty sure, was neutral during the war. So then you have Portugal, um, uh, Poland, which you already have one. Sweden, I think Norway was neutral, I believe.
Norway was actually not neutral. They were taken over by the Germans in
Okay,
during World War II. But yeah,
I think Sweden was neutral then, or Finland, or whatever it was. Um, so I mean, that could be another thing, but then I guess it's probably more likely that, like what you said, they just can't get their hands on the plans and stuff like that.
is that or moreover, they have an opportunity here. Two things I want to add to this. Two things. Number one, number one, they have an opportunity to bring out a lot of other ships with this pan-European line. There's openings. Here's your Danish boat. Here's your Swedish boat. Here's your Norwegian boat. Here's your Finnish boat. Here's you know
Greece.
here's your Luxembourgian boat, even though they're landlocked. But who knows? They have an opportunity out there to bring in some other designs from other countries and then satisfy some of those concerns. Uh, Number two, maybe they have plans for those particular nations when they come out. This is just the very first line, a DD line, and there's other battleships out there. There's other cruisers out there that they can pull from these other countries. So maybe they're overrepresenting here, and maybe they'll overrepresent some other places or represent some of these other areas. So
Mhm.
there you go.
Makes sense.
There you go. So there you go. EUDDs overall, I'm excited to play these things. They're torpedo boats. They're kind of half gunboats, but they're really slow half gunboat torpedo boat thingies, with no smoke, which is going to make for some very exciting gameplay. I think that if we get in there and see, I would like to see these things be formidable. I would like to see them be relatively tanky. And not just get obliterated by cleavers, because you're not going to run away from a Kleber. You're not going to run away from Ohio or a Georgia or anything like that. So these things are probably going to be limited to longer ranges. You're going to be playing from 7 and out with your main guns if you're having to shoot, and then if you're low, torpedoes all day like you're a Kagero or something
Mhm.
with no smoke. So it's going to be a very unique gameplay style. I don't think I think other than having the tor- torpedo torpedo reloaders on the Japanese, this is probably the closest to that gameplay that I'm thinking right now.
I would have to agree, yeah. But at least, but then it has the guns to be able to back it up. Um, that have a good reload speed versus the Japanese with their mediocre turret traverse.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
And then they're longer than average reload time compared to the other ships of their type.
Hmm. Yep, I think we're in agreement. It's going to be pretty similar. Pretty similar there. All right. So there you go. There's the EUDDs. Last minute comments before we move on to the big topic of the day.
No, not that I can think of.
Ready to get your hands on it. I'm sure they'll come to the PTR eventually. I know. I know. I'm kind of excited to get my hands on these. Like I said, I love the new. I love the. I love destroyers, and the Friesland was such an amazing boat. It's still such a good boat, even without its torpedoes. And these kind of fit that same motif without the hydro, without the smoke. So
Oh, very much, yes.
yeah. All right, so there you go. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the European destroyers, if y'all want any more explanations, you guys go ahead and hit me up right there at SirVenomIK right there in the chat, or leave it in the comment section below. IFHE, probably one of the biggest mistakes, and I sit there and I look and I see a couple of pinpoint days that this game made mistakes, and it's taken them a while to fix it. The first pinpoint day is the British battleships. That's the first pinpoint day I think the game took a wrong turn, and then IFHE when they introduced IFHE. So it's taken them a while. They're not going to address They kind of addressed a little bit of the British battleship issue when they raised citadels, but that doesn't solve the problem that I had with it. That's another story. But IFHE, they're finally going to make some changes to IFHE. The biggest thing about IFHE that I see out of all of these freaking numbers and shit that they threw at us about this is going to pin that, this is going to pin that, is the 50% fire chance reduction if you're using IFHE. Currently, it's what, 3%, if that. So
So,
it's really not much. It's really not much, or maybe it's 4% and DE is 3% or something like that. Either way, it ends up being a wash. And in fact, that negativity, that minus, was such a negligible amount of fire chance that because you got more pin on the IFHE, you actually caused more fires than you did if you didn't have IFHE.
yeah.
So when it came into the game, since you've been playing forever, what was your initial reaction for IFHE when it came into the game?
Um, I really didn't use it a lot. I actually really kind of like avoided. I didn't know how to I guess take it. Um, but I think what really kind of brought it to life and really kind of like showed how kind of broken it definitely was when they did the with the Henry with the HE
The
with the
IFHE, for you guys who don't know, IFHE, the Henry has 240 millimeter guns, 240s, and those with IFHE have enough pin power to pin 51 millimeters of armor. So those Stalingrads and the Moskvas that have the 50 millimeter armor absolutely dominates them. The deck armors of battleships absolutely wrecks them. So so that was a big shock for a lot of people when they sat there and they did the math. I think more along the lines of boats like the Atlanta. They were good, and they're still damn good without the IFHE. It gave them more overall damage.
Mm-hmm.
Gave them more overall damage, not just based on now their ability to set fires, but their ability to actually consistently pin. Instead of having 200 or 300 hits a game, and you would only damage maybe 20,000, now you're getting 200 to 300 hits a game in something like the Atlanta, and now you're pinning. You're getting 40, 50,000 damage. So
Mm-hmm.
you've in some instances you've doubled your damage just based on pin values alone, and that's not to include the extra fire damage that you get and anything like that. So it was a very good buff for some of these smaller gun ships, so they actually can be consistent in getting some of this damage. Where it went kind of afoul is the fact where you had the bigger guns, the 203s, people were using them on, the 155s, people were using them on, the 152s that people are using them on, who already have a pretty decent amount of pin based on this caliber of their guns, and they have a pretty damn good decent amount of fire chance. And now you're not lowering it enough to where it counters that pin value. So they, with this change, from what I can tell, is they're going to give the player a choice of, do I want the IFHE and now I'm going to lose half instead of 3% on 139 and above, or do I want to lose half instead of 1% on below 139. So
Yep.
I think that's the biggest overall shift in the gameplay. Is it going to change much? I don't think it changes much under 139, other than overall fire chance. It's gonna hurt the Smolensk a little bit, but the rate of fire on the Smolensk, the Colbert, the Atlanta, the Worcester, uh, those those and let's take the Worcester out of it because that's a different story. But those guns right there, because of the rate of fire, it ends up being a wash. You're going to hit a lot more, and you're going to have to hit more to get some damage. But let's be realistic, man. Does it really make a difference? How many
No,
times are you on fire all the time anyway?
all the time with those things.
All the time.
I think like what you were saying with like the everything else with like the 152s and them doing the 30 millimeter for the cruisers and giving it a built-in IFHE for those 152s and 155s to pin the 30s. Um, it's like, do you want to be able to set fires on the battleships? Because I think that's where
That's what.
where they're
In my estimation of the current game, or my experience of the current game, battleships are there for damage sponges. They just soak damage, and they're just pretty much farms for cruisers at this point. Cruisers in the original design of the game were going to be out there doing the DD hunting, right? That's their job overall, because
Mhm.
cruisers over destroyers. They shifted that to where cruisers could actually get damage, to where they weren't just so dominant on one side. They put it back to where the damage, we could actually hold our own versus battleships. Now, is this a good thing? Sure. Is it a bad thing? I think it's kind of a 50-50 here. It's half good, half bad, because we still want, as cruisers, to be able to do our damage, and we want to be able to survive. Well, they've shifted some mechanics around in the game, and they're doing it again here, including with this change. Uh, Cruisers want to survive against cruisers. Cruisers want to survive against battleships. This also entails a armor change for some of these guys at certain angles. So on some of these boats, you can actually bounce and ricochet 429 millimeter guns and below, all the way up to 429 millimeter guns. What has 429 millimeter guns, guys? Anybody? 429s. We're talking in the upper ranges now. We're talking what's 460s on the Yamatos, right?
Yeah, 460s, 457s on the Kremlin and the Thunder. I can't remember what the
Ohio
yeah, the Ohio.
457s. We're talking 420s. So GKs, they're 420s.
Yep. Yeah.
The Republics are pretty big. I'm not sure exactly what size. I think they're a little bit bigger. 15-inch guns. Those are 386s, 406s or 16-inch guns. We're talking North Carolina, Iowa, Montana. You're gonna have a chance now to bounce these shells, at certain angles, which is, you know, as I was 431 on the Republic. When I was sitting here doing the research, I was kind of upset because I initially read that and I was like, why in the world do we need to buff cruisers to where they can withstand these bigger shell guns? Is that not the battleship's job
No,
to
it is.
dominate cruisers, or to give them a hard time to survive and still be effective damage against them? So I put in a question to some people. I was like, why are we buffing cruisers? Right now, you've already fucked with the armor pin mechanics, and now I can't punish this guy that's flat broadside. The only punishment that I can do is hit him at an angle now, and to where my shell will actually detonate. So now what they're doing is that in the proper position, you're going to be a little bit more survivable as a cruiser. And I'm like, is this a good thing? Is this legit something that we need to do? Do we need our cruisers to have more survivability in this game? MrModo, what do you think?
I don't think so. I already have a problem with like with the DDs and or not the DDs, the cruisers, um, sit there hiding behind islands and stuff. I'm not a big fan of that play style anyway, but
That's my bread and butter.
I find I just find it boring. I
Oh, I
rather
agree. I mean, it can be.
um but when you can go up, you're already sitting behind islands, you already have limited angles to shoot at them, and then you're going to go and buff them even more. So like how are you going to how are you going to counteract like a Des Moines sitting on that island, and then you buff it and now you're just going
Now you're gonna bounce. Now this is. You guys can look at the models here. Certain platings of the deck armor are going to go up, so you can't like drop shells into them. Say you're 20 kilometers away and you're dropping shells from a Montana that has that plunging fire. Some of these shots that would normally citadel these guys aren't going to be citadels anymore. You're going to bounce some. You're going to bounce a lot more shells. Now this is going to take place on boats like tier 10 boats. They already have this plating intact on them already. So this is really going to only affect tier 8 and 9 boats, which at certain levels at tier 8 I can understand, because when you're playing at tier 10 a lot at tier 8 cruisers, this survivability is going to be very nice. It's going to be very nice for them. But isn't that the reward for the people playing tier 10 to be able to have the bigger guns to knock the fuck out of this dude at tier 8?
yeah 100%. And then think about the tier 6s going up against those tier 8s.
Right. Well, initially this is a concept, guys. Now this is a proof of concept testing that has not yet hit, but will hit the PTR coming up. We assume soon. They didn't say when it was going to go into effect, but I can only assume it's soon. This is going to affect 8, 9, and 10 only currently. These ifhe changes are being tested at 8, 9, and 10. Now there's some armor plating mechanics in there that I'm not going to really go into because it is kind of confusing, and you guys know me. I don't like to go into numbers. I don't like to go into numbers because it gets confusing. Number one, it gets confusing as fuck for me, and if I'm confused, there's no way I can convey what they're trying to get over if I'm confused. So we've come up in our little discussion today before the show. I was talking with MrModo, and we kind of came up, or I came up with one long ass run-on sentence that kind of explains these changes. In the most simplest form that I could understand it for myself. So here's what I got. Basically, what's going to happen is you at 190 at tier 10, starting at tier 10, at 190 millimeter plus. So it's your Henrys, your Zaus, your Moskvas, Demonis, Hindenburgs, Stalingrads. Nothing is going to change with your HE. It's still going to do exactly the same thing that as it did before. Your protection, the central part of your protection, uh, can cause AP ricochets of 429 and smaller calibers. So you're going to have another opportunity to survive on those bigger boats, which number one, I think it's stupid because there's no reason that these guys shouldn't be surviving anyway as it is. With the Zao, the Henry, the Moskva, the Zao, the Henry, and the Hindenburg, you're probably not going to be having a nice clean shot at them anyway because they're 18, 19 kilometers away from you. So if you do hit them, you should be rewarded for a battleship to actually getting some damage. So now there's an opportunity for you to bounce shells. I think it's kind of stupid. As for the Moskva Demonis, they're pretty stationary unless you're playing. Well, Moskva's stationary as hell. Stalingrad's stationary as hell. But Demonis as a kind of a flex, if you have the legendary mod, you can
Mm-hmm.
you can play it out. You can play it with the troll monies with the spotter plane, and you can dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge all of those things. At 139 to 189, which is the Worcester, penetrates cruisers at the same tier pin 30 millimeters or higher. So if you're at tier 10, basically what you're doing with the IFHE change is without it at tier 10, you're going to be able to pin every other cruiser at your tier, right? And up to 30 millimeters or higher on battleships. So you're going to absolutely obliterate even further what you're already doing without IFHE onto their superstructures, and you're going to end up setting more fires without IFHE. Now, as calibers up to 139, the Smolensk, Colbert, Minotaur, there's going to be no changes to your without it. So whatever you're doing without IFHE right now, you're going to continue to do that. And the same, and this is nice though. Plating can cause ricochets of AP shells up to 229 millimeters and small calibers. So you're going to be a little bit more survivable. I don't think the Smolensk or the Colbert and the Minotaur need to be any more survivable than they actually are. That's for tier 10. As for the rest of the tiers, calibers 190 and above, Ibuki, Mogami, Otago, Alaska, Buffalo, Wichita, or I'm sorry, the Wichita, the Wichita, Baltimore, St. Louis, Roon, the Hipper, the Prince Eugene, the Kronstadt, absolutely no changes. The protection change is central part may cause ricochets of AP shells at 386 and smaller. So we're talking 15-inch guns and smaller. You're going to be bouncing more. Under that, 139 to 189, the Seattle, Cleveland, Montpelier, Donskoy, the Chapayev, the Kudasov, the Irian, and the Bayard penetrates the cruiser armor, same tier and higher, 30 millimeters. So there you go. And that's with IFHE. No changes to 190 and above at tier 10. No changes to 139 and below at tier 10. The only change here is with Worcester, you're going to need that to pin the higher guys. And at 189 and below, Seattle and all those, you're going to need IFHE to pin the cruisers higher than you, and at your tier. So there you go. That's what we're looking at with this IFHE change. So you're going to be able to pin the shit at your level and higher, especially at tier 8. So it's still kind of mandatory for the tier 8 boats if you want to get that. If you're up at tier 10 a lot. And you're going to be able to survive bigger shots. So that's basically the one long run-on sentence there.
Mm-hmm.
Pin everything at your level and higher, and then you're going to be able to survive more. So there's your dumbed-down version of it. It's interesting. It's interesting to me. I hate bouncing our cruisers already. I think that a lot of people are frustrated with bouncing our cruisers. I think a lot of people are frustrated with the amount of overpins that you're seeing lately over the past year. And the amount of overpins is stupid. I put this one out there, one more out there further. Why am I still overpinning the broadsides of destroyers, cruisers, and any other thing with the British battleships? They have short fuse AP. Why am I still getting overpins on things like the Smolensk and the Minotaur or anything that's flat broadside? These things have designed armor-piercing shells to go in shallow on these things and explode. So why am I still getting the massive amount of overpins? Anybody else think that way? Do you think that way?
I can. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, I can think it back. Yeah, you can definitely.
You can make a case for it. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's kind of off subject. But what do you think of these? What do you think of these changes? When you first heard about IFHE changes coming in, what did you think about it?
Um, I think it was needed. Like you said earlier. Um, I think I think they need to be kind of nerfed just at the higher. If you're going to use IHFE on like the Henry, I don't think it should be um,
Prevalent.
as as it is
Hmm.
to do. Like if you're gonna it's gonna want to either you want to shoot them with AP, and do the damage, or do you want to set fires and do the damage?
They did something with the battleships years ago. Well, about a year ago, the AP change versus destroyers is something similar to what they're doing here. Not to the extent and nutting of their damage. 90% of the damage goes away. That's not what they're doing here. But what they did do that was similar was you have to now make a logical choice. You have to now think about what you're doing. You have to have options. And now they're giving you an option to change the way you play the game. Did it actually change the way people played the game when you swapped over to AP versus HE? Every once in a while you do. I think majority of the time I still shoot AP at DDs because it's the most consistent. Because you get those 6 hits, you knock out everything, and you do no damage on the HE shells. Versus, okay, I'm gonna hit this guy 3 or 4 times. It's 3 or 4 thousand damage that I can guarantee to get damage on. Same thing with IFHE chains. I am going to take this and get more fires, or I'm not going to take this and I'm going to get more fires, or I am going to take this and I'm going to get more damage with a lot less chance for fires. So my Smolinx game where I had 264 hits, 264 hits, mind you, MrModo, one damn fire. That's it. Before I got the second one, and I ended that game with 7, but it was 264 hits before I got my second fire. At
I had
previous,
I think I had something very similar with the Haragumo. I think I was like something like the same thing, like
yeah,
200 or that, and finally got a fire.
I find it very interesting. Like previous to that, my record was 150 hits in one fire for a complete game, 150 plus hits, one fire in the Worcester, and that's still pretty impressive with only one fire. So now you're reducing that 50% until we actually see it in battle. Is it going to really matter? Is it going to really matter when you're playing things like the Smolinx, the Colbert? I don't think it's really going to matter just because of the high fire rate that you have. I think it ends up being a wash. Now you'll probably see a lot more. Oh my God, can I please get a fire? Can I please get a fire? But you're still going to do a lot of fire damage with IFHE on.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I think the same. The rate of fire I think is the big thing for the fire chance anyway. With those ships. So yeah, I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah, and with the with the way that the flags work, you can get an extra 1% of the fire chance. So you're probably using those flags already. Um, so
And then expert to get 2 more.
yeah, so you're basically getting 3% back. As opposed to whatever you lose negatively for the fire chance, so it ended up really doing nothing. You buff it with DE, you cut it out with this, and then you add the 2 flags on it, and it's basically back to 0. So it's just like a stock fire chance, but you still get the pin. So it ended up being a wash currently. What do you guys think out there in the chat at ServeNMIK if you guys want us to talk about it here and coming up here in just a little bit? Well, there it is. IFHE change. I think it's something that's been needed. Honestly, I think just get fucking rid of it. Just leave it alone. Get rid of it. give all these 139s and belows the ability to pin certain number of armor, and you could just literally get rid of IFHE altogether. It's not necessary. It wasn't necessary before it came out there, and those cruisers were still monsters doing a massive amount of damage. I honestly think that they should just remove IFHE from the game altogether, and send it back a couple of years to where these guys are still doing fires. And I think that's kind of what they're doing. I'm like, okay, so what happens if you remove it? Let's take a look at this, chat, MrModo. What
Okay.
happens if they remove IFHE? They just take out IFHE altogether because it's basically what they've done. You're going to lose a little bit of pin value, but that's okay because before that, the Zao was a monster. But you don't use IFHE on the Zao, do you? Before that, the Atlanta was a monster. Let's take it back to tier 7. The Atlanta was an absolute beast. It's still an absolute beast. And the ability to put out that much fire, and you're maybe not doing a whole lot more extra damage because you don't have IFHE, but you get that extra fire chance. So I don't understand why just remove it. Just take it out of the game. It's not it was The game wasn't bad before IFHE.
Mm-mm. I think the only real downfall to it, and probably the people who would do it are the ones that like to play the Japanese gunboat DDs with the 100
I
millimeter.
Well, that's fine. Just give them the fucking quarter pin.
Yeah,
Just give the 100 millimeters, give them all the quarter pin. Things like the daring that some people take IFHE in or they don't, whatever they want to do, however they want to play it. If you don't take IFHE on that, then you have to swap back and forth from AP to HE on broadsides to get your damage. You already do that in the Germans anyway, and you don't use IFHE on the German DDs. So just buff these individual things to give them the pin that they need so they can continue to do the damage. Just take away IFHE. I mean, that's literally all it is for anyway. Why not just remove it from the game? That's anyway. That's my 2 cents on it.
I agree.
Yep. They should have just buffed the pin like they should have just buffed the pin instead of bringing out this whole new mechanic in the game that 2 years on they're going to just basically break it and remove it from the game. So, or basically just nut it to where is it really worth taking at this point? Is IFHE worth taking now? That's another good question. Do you think it is? Do you guys think that IFHE is going to be worth taking? Tier 8s at one. What was the number? At tier 8s, 189 caliber and below. Seattle, Cleveland, Montpelier, Dominic Donskoy. That's Dmitry Donskoy, not Dominic. Chapayev, the Kudersov, the Irian, and the Bayard.
They're all
Seven
still
most.
going to 30 millimeter.
With IFHE, you got to put it on to pin 30 and above. Without it, well, then you're just a firebug. With it, now you're getting actual damage. Does it make a big difference? I think it makes a big difference in one direction with IFHE on it now. The only difference that it's going to make is now I'm playing for almost instant gratification, almost instant punishment with my IFHE, right? As opposed to the long game without it. As opposed to playing an American battleship with the instant popping of that cruiser versus playing a British battleship where you're slinging HE and you're playing for the long game. Same concept. That's it. That's a whole lot better breakdown than that's a whole lot better breakdown on that than my original statement. Either way, guys, you're going to be able to pin everything at your tier and above if you use IFHE on the 189s and below, and in the Worcester because that fits in that category. And then you're going to be able to pin everything and above, and then you're going to have a little bit more survivability. I think they should just remove it right now. Fuck the flowback, and I mean shit, all the flowback that they had on CVs, and it's still not a good thing. So. I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, you got any last comments here before we move into the Q&A session?
No, I think we covered everything.
Think we got it, guys? Y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns at SurFNMIK right there in the chat? If y'all have anything y'all want me to talk about here in a minute, before we move into the Q&A, let's do our rewards from last week. Ship of the week. Last week, Virtual Senpai put it out there to people. If you guys played the Zara, give me a screenshot in my Discord channel. And only one person did. So Malakane, he's gonna get some boxes. I'll send them to you after the show tonight. Just send me a message on Discord saying, "Hey, you said I won," and I will send you a box if you're here. If not, I'll hit you up anyway. So there you go. 150. It's actually on my Discord, and I can't see it right now because you're on my Discord. But it was like 153,000 damage in a Zara, which is tier 7. Not too many. Torpedo hits, so it was a lot of work. He busted his ass and had a lot of work done. So congratulations, man. It was a hell of a game, man. I appreciate it. So next ship of the week is going to be courtesy of MrModo number 3. MrModo number 3. Pick a boat, any boat that you want, and the top 2 guys. The first guy that I pick is going to get a community contributor container, and the second guy is going to get a camo code that we have. So pick a boat.
In the honor of the Italians again, the Duca da Costa.
Duca d'Aosta. Man, oh man. Duca d'Aosta. You like this boat?
I actually do. I don't like the HE on it, but I don't mind the AP. I actually do pretty well in it.
Yeah.
I do like it.
I find that the Duca d'Aosta is grossly underpowered.
100% with the HE. Actually, both of them, both those 2 premiums, the HE is horrendous.
It's awful. And it's really surprising that they're underpowered. I feel that they're underpowered. They have some of the fastest shell speed in the game at 1,000 meters per second coming out of the guns. But when they hit, they just kind of like plop on the side of things, and it just really doesn't feel like you do a whole lot of damage.
So I don't ever switch out of AP. Even against like destroyers, I just leave AP loaded the entire time.
All right. There you go, guys. Duca d'Aosta. If you guys want to get into Duca d'Aosta and you want to get into that challenge, there's discord.gg/SurVenomIK. There is a particular page for that, and you guys can go post your screenshots there. Thank you very much for that, MrModo. Guys, we're hanging out with MrModo, twitch.tv/MrModo, or at MrModo3 over on the Twatters. Of course, I am SurVenomIK. You guys are here in my channel, twitch.tv/SurVenomIK, and you guys can hit me up at the Twitter at Sir_Venom_IK if you guys have any things that you guys want to talk about or anything, and get all the updates when we go live. There you go. There's the Twatter. All right, let's go to the Q&A. You ready for the Q&A? We have a few questions, not too many. You guys can still get a couple of questions in here. We still got some time here that I have scheduled here for this podcast. So I know he's busy. He's probably hungry too. All right. First question comes in from Sharpie092. He says, "What do you guys think about new players not getting the tier 10 rewards? Snowflakes. Don't care. I mean, if they have tier 10s, then they do. If they don't, then they haven't played the game long enough to get it. So, I mean, that's kind of... I think that they do... I think that they do enough for giving away of free stuff for new players. It's time for people who've been playing around to get something, and I think that this is fine. We're all going to get it in the first week anyway. Why? Because the co-oping. Yep, we're gonna spam co-op when this thing comes out, and I guarantee you it's going to happen quite a bit.
They did it. They'll probably do it again next year. So if you get a tier 10, then you'll get it next year.
Yeah. Worrell says, "I agree with you, Sir Venom, and also with this rental nonsense, you need to earn those steel ships." I don't mind the rentals too much. I don't like the rentals when they put them in a competitive situation, like rentaled shimmies and ranked and stuff like that. I'm sorry, but now is not the time. In a ranked setting is not the time for you to play your first boat in that, or first game in that boat. I'm sorry, that's just not a good thing. And it was a bad mechanic, and they got rid of it. So also they need to get rid of CVs from ranked because it's too broken. What are your
I'll agree with that.
Malik and CR, there's a shitload of premiums at tier 8, so you can get a lot of steel too. Absolutely, there's a lot of them at tier 8, and I had the numbers here somewhere, but I don't know where they went. I think I deleted them, but I think there was something like 50 or so premiums at tier 8. I don't know, 25, 35, something like that. There's a lot. Worrell says, why not add permanent camos to community contributor containers with the odds of getting a tier 8 premium ship? You can get a super container from the community contributor boxes, and it contains whatever boat that they have set for that particular patch. I think one of them was Mutsu. I think a couple of guys got Mutsus out of my boxes one time, and I can't remember if there was any others. I think maybe one got an Ashitaka, but I'm not 100% positive. Would you like to see permanent camos in containers, like in super containers?
Um,
Yeah, this was actually this is a hard question, man. I mean, like there was something brought up. Can I make this permanent? This camo that I have that I absolutely love, and I have a bajillion of these things out there. Can I make that one permanent? Let me choose one of these to make permanent from the list of things that I have. So if you like the Ocean Soul camo and you want to look like a prisoner permanently, then go. Then you're Australian, or throw it on there.
kind of like what they did with this
Halloween event.
Halloween event. Yeah, where you
Yeah.
lock it to a ship.
I don't know.
Kind of
That
stuff.
would be something interesting. I don't know. As long as if they did that, then they would have to remove all the extra bonuses that would be above the premium camo, and they would have to bring all of those bonuses down to what the pay camo would be. It's like if you spend 8,000 on the Yamato, I think the only way that they could make that feasible to people, because there's some out there with a shitload of experience on it or a shitload of credits. I don't think that would be right. But if they removed those stats, that 50% bonus credits off the Gamescom camo, and then mashed it to what the 8,000 doubloon credit would be, I think that would be fine.
Yeah,
I think that would be fine.
I would agree with that.
Now, SPR 101 101st says, I have learned how to play these from watching a streamer and how to angle to be aware of the minimap and so many other things. And I love how most streamers go out of their way to show you. There you go, man. That's what we were talking about earlier. What do you want to say something to that?
No, that's how I learned how to play DDs. Also, got better at the game was watching people stream, and one person I think does a pretty good job at explaining what they're doing is Notzer. I think he does a
Yeah, Notzer does a good job. I think situationally, there's a couple of guys out there. Potato Quality does pretty good. If you ask him, he won't do it very often. If just on his own. Oni the Wicked, when he streams, is very good at it. If you guys have ever seen Oni, I know he hasn't streamed in a while, but that's another story. But if he ever comes back and listen to him, he just nonstop strategy, thinking. This is what I'm thinking, and it's really nice. I could do it if somebody asked me, but for the most part, I just okay. This is I kind of bring up the situation, like, oh, I think this guy's over here. I think I need to go over this way, or stuff like that. But I don't go really into in depth unless somebody asks. DNK Redneck says, other than that, MrModo says, yes, keep watching my channel. His channel, not mine. I'm always down for constructive criticism. I'm still learning the basics. I don't get to play a lot with a heavy work schedule, but at the moment, it becomes salty. I just ignore people. So yeah, I understand new players in the game, and there's different levels of bad players. There's the like we mentioned earlier in the podcast. There's the bad players that don't know that they're bad and they think that you're the problem. You cannot help them, and there is no help for those people. Then there is those bad players that think that they know what's going on, and they can kind of make things happen, but in the end, they're just new. They're just new players, and they don't really understand the flow or what they're going up against. Then we have the guys that are new to the game. They're bad at the game, but they're willing to listen and they're willing to learn. And those are the guys that I want to play with. You know, those are the guys that MrModo wants. Those are the guys that we want in our community because I personally am here to try to educate as many people as I can. Maybe change the way you think about the game instead of this boat beats that boat. Okay, well why? Why does this boat? What did you do? You know, why does this boat? Why did if you had your hydro on and you knew that there was a battleship around that corner, why would you go out there? What was your mental? Oh, I thought I got to get my torps off. Well, why don't you just wait until that guy pushes you? Number one, you're stalling out whatever you're at. They're not pushing past you, and then you know what? You have better angles. But if you go pushing around that corner, especially in something like a Mogami, and you have to go flat broadside, guess what? You're giving up your citadels. So that's the different type of mentalities that I'm talking about. Think about what you're doing.
And I think the other biggest thing with like the new players is they'll go out and they'll buy that, that tier 8, tier 9 premium ship when, the highest they've gotten is that when tier 4, and they go out there and those are the players that really frustrate some of the higher end guys, because you're going out there and it's like you play like 3 games, you maybe have like 300 games, but they're all tier 4 and below, but then you have like 5 games in like a turf
Yeah.
that, and that's where you're going to get a lot of the salty people who they're not going to be willing to really want to help
Oh, absolutely. We try not to.
play those high tiers. Is like the learn the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people. I think I generally try to tell people you don't need a premium boat at the beginning of the game because basically, unless you just have the money that you want to spend, fine, go for it. I don't care. But go back and play through tier 5 because at tier 4 and below, everything plays the same. All the cruisers play the same. Pretty much all the DDs, they kind of play the same. The battleships are kind of shitty. So they really don't get a good feel for the game at tier 4 and below. Where you get a good feel for the game is tier 5 and above because everything starts shifting, especially the Germans, the German cruisers, the Japanese cruisers. They play exactly the same from tier 6 or tier 5 all the way up to tier 10. It's exact same gameplay, long range, squirrely HE spammers, right? Look
Mhm.
good AP on the broadsides, but that's all you're trying to do. And I think that if people can get some of that mentality early on, don't buy any premiums before you hit tier 6. Play tier 6 to a couple of different lines. Play a DD up, play a cruiser up, maybe 2 cruisers up, and then play a couple battleships up. Get that, and then you can get a feel for what that particular line is about. You have an idea of what you're doing before you go buy premiums. Now, if you do buy premiums, here's what I want you guys to know. Get one premium for each nation out there because that's going to aid your retraining ability when you move from boat to boat. So back in the day, we didn't have this elite XP. So when I was playing through my Bajoni into my shores, that captain went into the shores and immediately went back into the Molotov, and I played it till it was retrained. So I didn't have any of the negativity, and I played a lot of games in the Molotov, so I got to understand the Molotov and how it played and how much I really enjoy it.
That's actually what I'm doing with the on my alt account with the American DDs. I got the Sims, and as I go up, I just throw it on the Sims, play the whole bunch with the Sims, get them trained up, and then throw them in the next boat.
It's good to go. It's good to go. As for my recommendation, a battleship is probably going to be the easiest way to get that because your survivability, you can make a lot of mistakes in battleships. As for the Americans, Sims has got the best XP grind. Missouri has the best credit grind. There's some nuances to premium ships, but you guys get the gist, right? Uh, GMC Yukon says Sir Venom is he has been the only streamer to invite me into his bubble to play, and not say I wasn't good enough to be there. I don't know about you, man, but I'll play with anybody. I don't care. I open it up to the chat, and if anybody wants to play, I'm more than willing to do it. If you're willing to wait in line,
Yep.
I play with a set group of people for a while, and they'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go off and I'm gonna play now anybody want to go, and we'll play 2 or 3 games. We'll rotate. So it's going to take time to get through everybody, but come back, keep coming back because I'll play with anybody.
Yep, I do too. I even tell I on my main account, it's like, you want to play, just hit me up in game, and I'll invite you. I have no issues, playing with anybody. And like I said, I have unlike you, I have pretty much every single boat you can get. So if you only have a certain, you only got tier 5, I'll go down and play tier
You
5.
grind tier 5, fine. I'll only grind tier 5 for a couple of games. It drives me nuts being down that low, but yeah, I don't mind doing it. I mean, it's something fun and it's content for the show, so it's only benefits us, right? Right.
Exactly.
That number one, number two. If I see something that, why are you going over there? What are you thinking here? And we're in chat and we're talking about it. Venom playing the Omaha, never again. The people, and then every once in a while I call it the test. All right, it's test time, man. Here's your final exam. Are you going to be an average player or not? Take me through the game and what you're thinking here, and I'll sit there and I'll just listen and see if he's see if he's got the right mentality, and it's pretty nice too, because some of the guys that we've played with, they come in and they're really green. They're really green, and it's really tough to win with the really green players. But over the course of playing with them for months at a time, you see a progression, and it's really nice to see that they're enjoying the game and they're getting better at the game. Especially Yukon, he was terrible, but now it's not. Worrell says definitely yes. The beard and the helmet he'll be wearing while streaming, which is on hold at the moment. You got a helmet. I see the helmet down there, man.
Yeah, my helmet.
Is that your cranium, or is that like a full on helmet?
That's a full on flight helmet.
Nice.
And it's got ear everything for hearing and everything. And what I want to do is I want to get the adapter, so I can plug it in, and then I use that to do instead of
headset.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty dope.
It's got a microphone too, so I mean, if I really wanted to, I can use that microphone if I could figure out how to do that, and then I just wear that whole get up.
I'm sure there's a way.
I'm sure
there's a way that you could do that. Now, the only thing, I didn't get to keep anything when I left the service, but one of the things I would have liked to have kept is my cranium. I don't know why, but I really like that thing. I thought that was pretty dope, because you could customize it and make it your own with the reflective tape and stuff. Fun and exciting things. Eamon Hur says, my soundproof closet of shame is where I go to vent my salt after rain season. There you go. D&K Redneck says, I mean, I get salty, but it's usually just blowing my lid IRL and not spewing it at somebody in chat and game. Oh, dude, I have been chat banned because of rank season so many fucking times. And I tell you what, if I'm going to get myself chat banned, I'm going to fucking earn it. Like, I've had those. I haven't said anything for a couple of days in game to anybody. The next thing I know, I'm fucking chat banned. I'm like, how the hell did I get? I didn't say anything to anybody. Why am I getting chat banned? I hate those things. So if I'm gonna get chat banned, I'm gonna fucking earn it. You know what I mean? But I've been known to rip off on people in chat too, in the past. And yesterday. Sharpie says, I appreciate MrModo's tolerance and friendliness, and I appreciate Sir Venom IK's honesty. There you go. I'll tell you.
Thank you.
I don't sugarcoat shit. I don't sugarcoat it at all. If I don't like it, then I tell you I don't like it. If I think you're stupid for thinking that this thing's one way, then I'll tell you I think you're stupid. But give me a reason why, and then maybe we can talk. And I think that's the biggest thing. Is a lot of people go off and they say things that they say some pretty outlandish things, like, I'm going to quit playing the game when carriers come out, or I'm going to quit playing the game when subs come out. Those are pretty outlandish things. They're pretty heavy things. Or I hate wargaming because they're trying to change my Julius Caesar, which I pulled down $30 for, or whatever it was. And I'm like, that's stupid. You know how stupid you sound when you talk about that? Fuck your wallet. Here's the reason why fuck your wallet. You know what opportunity you missed because you complained about this? This is a boat that is legit broken, that is legit doing more damage averagely than boats at the next tier. Shouldn't be doing that. It should be comparable or even less. It should be less than comparable to those boats. So you bitched and moaned and you fucked it up. So what does that mean? That means you don't give a shit about broken boats. So when people complain about the Smolensk and they complained about them trying to change the fucking Julius Caesar, it lowers their fucking valued opinion. when you don't want balance in the game. You want broken fucking boats. So shut the fuck up about the Smolensk. You know, shut the hell up. The Belfast could be back on sale. The Kudryashov could be back on sale. People could be getting these really awesome, good boats, and they could have fixed them, and they could have fixed them to where they were balanced. So now, if we get a tier 8 rank season, you're going to see these broken pieces of things. You're going to see these broken pieces of broken Belfast at tier 7. So no, I think you guys are wrong. That's the honesty that people hate. Anyway. Although he says his stream is 95% salt free, it's more or less 99.9% salt free. And then I added the comment, yeah, but that 0.1%, that's pretty fucking heavy.
I gotta. It's that cumulative amount. I might not have all the salt in one chap or one match, but I can bring that all that back up for a 5%er later on.
Yeah, we can grind out the salt, man, and you might be all right for 6, 8, 10 games, but little bits and pieces they do add up after a while, and they do kind of stick with you and stick in your craw a little bit until you spit it out. Now
I don't know if chats like viewers are watching me have caught it, but I can definitely playing the game and like talking. I can be like, okay, I got a little salty there.
Yeah. I mean, I get salty. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you I get a little bit overly salty. Like I remember one time I had somebody from Wargaming in my chat, and I had been playing with Airborne Samurai 4 games in a row. Now this guy has been around the game for a very long time, and he's one of those special cases. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to disparage the guy too much. But anyway, he did something that absolutely drove me nuts 4 games in a row. And I said, fuck it. And I just dropped torps on him and killed him and got out of the games so I could get out of the queue with him, so I could offset. Because he was on my team 4 damn games in a row. And he did the same thing 4 effing times in a row. And I'm like, dude, can you please not be bad this game, please, man? Like, you've died in that same spot in the first 2 minutes 4 games in a row. Please. He's like, no, it works 60% of the time. I'm like, fuck, that means I got to wait another 2 games with this motherfucker. And then I was like, nope, I'm done. So I dropped torps on him, killed him, and I fucking left, man. And some, like, Wargaming guy was watching. And I was like, Anyway, that particular account got banned for a couple of days. That was a long time ago, though. That was before I was a community contributor. That was a long time ago. Woo! I messed something up here. Yep, toxic as hell. That was toxic as hell. DNK Redneck says learning what is coming with their ship is good at the angle they are to my ship, so I don't have a DD Brown alert. I think he's talking about awareness, knowing about awareness on the map. Yeah. Okay. Also, don't rush to get into the later tiers. Learn some of the basics. Was in reference to the minimap and the game. There you go, DNK. Thank you for that. SPR 101 says also, don't rush to get into the later tiers. Learn some of the basics in the low tiers, and don't buy a premium ship that is at a tier you don't have in the tech tree. I think a lot of people will agree with that, but I'm not going to tell people how to spend their money. If they like, man, I've been waiting for the Alaska for 4 years, man, but I don't have enough free XP or whatever it was to get it. I'm going to spend that money because I love the Alaska. Look at the lines on that thing. And maybe their family was on a boat or something like that. I mean, I understand people buying whatever they want to.
And maybe they want it. Like, just because they have it doesn't mean they bought it. I mean, that's another...
Sure. Could be gifted. I mean, like, I got gifted a Tirpitz, like before I was in the really heavy into the streaming community. I popped off. I was like, hey, what's a Tirpitz? I mean, is that pretty good? I don't have it. And some random dude from the game sent it to me, and I never heard from him again. Huh. I said, thank you, man. Come into the show, come into the stream, and I'll thank you properly, and put your name on my dome like I do. And he's like, oh, fuck your stream, man. I don't care. Enjoy the boat. I was like, okay. Thanks. So, I mean, shit like that, random shit like that happens every once in a while. It's true. It can do it. And I was like, God damn, thanks. Sadly, it was not said to. It would help me stay engaged in the game, but not so bad at it now. I'm on my North Carolina grind, but unlike Venom, I love my Georgia. I hate the Georgia. I don't like secondary boats.
So like my Germans, I kind of do like a hybrid. Um, and I was talking to Krieger about this too. I do kind of a secondary build with the commanders,
Uh,
but on the
take the accuracy mod.
yeah, I take the accuracy mod, and I think it helps out tremendously with being able
You
to.
know, you know something interesting about that. That's something that I've actually gone to a while ago as well, and I was trying to tell people about it, and I was like, hey, check this out. This is what I'm doing. So I hate them, and everybody knows that I don't like the German battleships. But I've gone to taking the turpets and taking the accuracy mod, and lowering that range, to nine and change instead of the 11.3, and I think it's 10.1 if you just put the flag on it. I can't remember offhand, but lowering that just so I can get a little bit more consistent shots. And people called me I was an idiot. People told me I was dumb for that. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm actually doing more damage than you are, and you're just rolling in there and getting your ass kicked. So fuck you. What the hell do you know? So it really turned me off onto a lot of feedback like that. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do what I want to. This is my idea, and they're just shooting it down before even trying it. They're like, why would you do that? DPM, DPM, and I'm like, dude, it's not all about DPM, man.
I mean, realistically, how much are you really going to shoot like at targets at 11.3 or 11.6
Two
with
or
their?
three times.
Yeah, I mean it's nice, but I mean realistically, I mean it's whatever. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. I was playing with the curve first is really where I kind of figured it out, and I just kind of got tired of the dispersion. I was like, you know what, let me try this up.
Yep.
And as I did that, I was like, this is so much better.
Yeah, it's surprising at what you can do with it. Now, the Georgia and Ohio being those double gun turrets, they are subject to some of those really weird shots, but they're probably more accurate than any other double gun turret in the game. With that being said, I just really don't like the sit around and do this play style with random shots. Maybe you hit, maybe you don't, which is something that we didn't touch on today because it hasn't gone into effect yet. Is the German battleship dispersion buff that they're getting. Some of the guys that said on the PTR, since I don't go to the PTR, some of those guys that I do talk to, that I trust their opinions, they have said that it did make a difference. It made a huge difference. So taking that into consideration, imagine with that dispersion buff and then taking the aiming mod. Imagine what that's going to do for your accuracy. I can't wait to try that out and still not be full secondary, so I can still be effective here for the first 5 to 8, 8 to 10 minutes of the game. Still actually have a decent amount of damage before I have to charge in and make that last stand or whatever, and go start seeing the fireworks that everybody loves about those boats. Redneck, a couple of overpins on a DD still takes 2 to 3,000 damage off of a ship. That ship doesn't have a lot of HP to begin with. More if you get a decent shot and get them big. If you'll take shots at a DD, no problem with AP, because most of the time, by the time you attempt to change to the HE, the opportunity has passed, and somebody else has either put shots into them or they fucking torpedoed you and died. We're talking about AP, a choice between AP and HE versus TDs, as opposed to IFHE versus not IFHE.
Mm. I'm you're still hitting the DDs with a lot of damage with the AP, and like you said, the time unless you have the Halsey or whatever with that 75% expert loader to switch over real quick to HE, it's kind of mute just to switch over to
Well, think about it this way. I mean, I could sit here and we could both sit here for the next hour giving you what if scenarios. But
yeah.
I'm gonna do one and see what you think about this. And this is a perfect example of it. You're sitting there, you're not spotting this DD at all. You're not spotting him. You know he's there because A, you probably dodged torps, or you got your priority target on and you only see two people, but there's five people looking at you, or maybe you see two and there's three people looking at you, you know something else is in the area.
Mm-hmm.
So you go ahead and shoot at that cruiser. Maybe you dev strike the guy, but as soon as you pull that trigger, that DD knows you've got about 30 seconds before you can reload. So what does he do? He opens up for 10 seconds and then he stops shooting. And now he's gone before you're reloaded. So it's not really a feasible and efficient use of your time to fire a shot, unless you're double tapping that immediately. You're really losing a lot of time and you're losing a lot of potential damage for those DPM gods out there. You're losing a lot of potential damage having to swap over back and forth. Even if you let that thing roll and you're rolling with George Doe and it's 75% and on the Montana it's a 6 to 7 second reload, you're still 37 seconds to reload it because you have to load up your AP, then hit that double tap that button, and then wait another 7 seconds. By that time, is he going to be around? Is he going to be gone? Are you really going to be effective? So just get that 30 seconds, pull the fucking trigger, and then move on. That's what I say.
Yep. I agree with you 100% on that. I was just saying, like, if you have the expert loader and a DD does come out or something like that, and he's within that range that you can still spot him, then you can swap over. But yeah, if he's invisible, it's definitely not worth it to do the swap.
Do you hear that, guys? It's not worth your fucking time. Now, if there's only DDs left in the game, absolutely go ahead swap over because yeah, it's fine. Whatever. Whatever. It doesn't matter what at that point in time because you're probably going to win the game. Let's see. GK is like a ship flooded with its fuel. It burns even with one damn HE hitting it. First shots are the worst. How many times have you guys had the first HE shot come to you and you're lit on fire? I have that happen more than a lot of people, I think, and there's a reason behind that. It's because it's fresh, nothing's been burned, so yeah, it's gonna catch on fire. I still think that fires should not be able to actually kill a ship, simply for the fact that a fire can't sink a fucking boat unless it explodes. Think about it. It's all metal. Well, I mean, a lot of it was wood, but once the deck burns away, what's under that? Fucking deck plating. So there's really nothing to get it out unless it fucking explodes a magazine or detonates or something. You're really not dying.
No,
Just
no.
just a thing. And I also think there should be diminishing returns on fire chance. But with this new IFHE change, maybe it fixes it. I just want to get rid of IFHE and I want to get rid of fire prevention because that's bullshit. They're both bullshit. Either way, moving on. IFHE was originally made for the Kudrsav. When that ship was first introduced, people complained that it was underpowered. I don't remember. Let's see, Kudrsav was out before I started playing. And before IFHE, I got that Kudrsav. And I always had really, really strong games in it. I don't ever think that it was underpowered. I think that IFHE specifically coming out for the Kudrsav, I don't think I would agree with that. I think it was more along the lines of let's help out these lighter shelled cruisers, the Atlantas, the Flints, those things, with the really high fire rates and really small caliber guns. Let's help them get a little bit of damage. I still don't think that the Kudrsav is overpowered at all whatsoever, even to this day. Even with IFHE, I don't think it's overpowered. But what I think and what the spreadsheets say are two different things. So let's rock and roll. Moving on. What do you think? What do you think about the Cooter? Before I move on, we'll get your opinion.
I agree. I don't think it's overpowered. I mean, it does good damage, but I mean, it started fires. I mean, that was another big thing. It was real good at, but I don't think it was overpowered at all.
There you go. All right. Next question. Maybe Wargaming feared blowback if they removed IFHE in one go, so they are doing it in 2 steps. Now, I haven't heard them say that they were getting rid of it, but this is a very good step at knocking it down. I think if they do happen to remove it, it won't be for a while. They're gonna come in. They saw that IFAT was a little bit too strong for a long time, but they've had CV rework going on. They're working on submarines now, and they've got a lot of other shit that's more important than IFAT change. They are just now getting to that important. That was the next thing on the list. That was the most important thing that they needed to fix. After all this other shit that they fixed before that, and I really don't see them removing it anytime soon. I would like them to do it tomorrow. Just take it out. Just take it out of the game. Free up that space for a better UI system or some shit. And but I don't know. I don't know. I'd like for them to remove it, but I don't think they ever will.
I think one thing, and it doesn't really go with the IFG, it kind of goes with smoke. I was thinking about this earlier, is changing not with the smoke, the penalty, the fire penalty, where when you shoot, you're detected for 20 seconds after you shoot. And I don't like that every ship is 20 seconds.
It's hardest on destroyers.
It is.
It's hardest on destroyers. I think that's something that we brought up ages ago when it first came out. That something along the lines of, look, this thing's got 120 millimeter guns. Why am I spotted at 120 millimeter guns at 10 kilometers at the same rate as a 460? Why is the Yamato gun spotted the same amount of time as a 100 millimeter gun? I think that they should look at, you know how they scaled gun firing and smoke. You know how they scaled that to whatever caliber are you, blah blah blah. This is how far you're spotted with this caliber. This is how far you're spotted with that caliber, and so on down the line. I think that they need to stagger some of those things back as well. Maybe 10 seconds or so. Still a long time.
But it really helps against ships like the Jean Bart and stuff, where they have main battery reload. You know, you pop your full salvo and you hit main battery reload, and guess what? They're still detected. You hit another salvo. Plus, I think if you open up, you do that type of thing, I think you could potentially get DDs actually using their guns more.
Well, I think that getting people to use their guns in a DD is just a mental thing. I don't think the game's gonna help them out at any point, because they've had all these opportunities to use their gun before and they're not doing it. And it's not has anything to do with the 20-second time penalty on when they go undetected. I think it's just lack of knowledge of the game, period. Because I have always told people the first DD line I want you to go up is the Americans, because your torpedoes suck until you hit tier 7, and you're only really good with your guns up until that point, other than a surprise or other than a defensive torp, or you're kiting this guy into your torps. So I think it does have merit. I would like to see them stagger that a little bit and make it a little bit more survivability for DDs, because at the moment DDs are struggling. They are having probably the hardest time in the game currently, with the rate that the boats have radar, at how long the radar is, and how far it goes, and the amount of radar on each team. Not to mention the undeniable fact that CVs absolutely wreck these things, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And now the submarines are going to come out, which, from what I understand, submarines and destroyers are going to be. That's it. So now you have to go do that. They're putting a lot of work on destroyers, but they're not giving them the survivability factor, other than, you have smoke. I don't think that smoke is good enough at this point in the game, or at this length of time at the game, to be able for a DD to survive as long as he should be surviving.
Especially not with the radar and some of the other DDs with hydro and stuff like that. Like you said, like, even if you stipulate it down to like 10 seconds for a DD to be spotted, if like sitting like 15 for a cruiser, and then 20 perfectly fine for a battleship.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm okay with 20 for that. I think that some of the bigger ones, like the Alaska, the Stalingrad, the Kutuzov, or the what's it called, the Tier 9 one.
The Azuma.
No. Well, that one too. The Uzuma Yoshino Kronstadt. That's what I was looking for. Kronstadt. These bigger gun super cruisers and the bigger gun cruisers, the Henry. I think that they need to be on that same battleship level. Tier 10 cruisers, just take them out of the equation, and then look at 203s and under. What boat at 203 and under is such a high impact that it needs to be at 20? Not many. Over 203s, Zhao needs to be at 20. Hindenburg needs to be at 20. All of these boats at tier 9 and tier 8 that have 203s that need to have that 20 seconds. Then look at something like the Smolensk. It needs to have that 20 seconds because it's too impactful on the game currently, right? Or just remove the smoke and who gives a shit.
Yeah.
I still think if you remove the smoke from the Smolensk, it's fine.
I think the smoke and drop the range down to like 2 kilometers. But
or raise the firing penalty and smoke for it.
Yeah, or that.
Raise the firing penalty and smoke for it. That Mo like it. I love you, man. Raise the firing penalty and the smoke for it. That's where I heard that from. All right. Anyway, what would this is the last question, by the way. What would you replace IFHE with if they removed it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You don't need another fucking captain's skill. Get rid of it. Just leave that big old fucking hole right there, and then you have 3 points to do whatever else you want to, or 4 points to do whatever else you want to. Go back to AFT, or put on some of these BFTs so you can get a little bit faster reloads, or put on RPF so you can go hunt down some of these DDs or understand where the DDs are.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. There's really nothing I can think of anyway to put there. I mean,
now you're speculating on adding stuff to the game, which every once in a while we'll have something really good for that. But at this point in time, I don't know. If I had to replace it with anything, what would I replace it with? Make something up off the top of your head, MrModo. Put you under the pressure here. If you could replace IFHE with any kind of skill, what would it be?
Shoot.
Same thing for the chat. If you guys or you guys over on YouTube when y'all are watching this, hey, what's up, baby? What would you replace IFHE with? I think maybe let's fucking put a cloaking device in there. We can cloak our ships. But wait, that's already in there. That's smoke. Let's put the ability to. Oh, I got you right here. Support ability. Let's do a 4-point support ability. Yeah, we've already got the mechanics in the game where I can heal you in the Halloween event, right? Mm-hmm. I can heal you as a Halloween event. But fuck that shit. We don't want the heals. We want to be able to put out goddamn fires. So if you're close to this guy and I have this big fucking smoke ring, or not the smoke ring, but a big fire retardant ring, and people flow in that, and if they're on 3 fires, it takes 5 or 6 seconds to put out their fire. Why not one of those?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Why not one of those? Sounds pretty cool to me. We already have the mechanics. We like legit have the fucking mechanics in the game already. Yeah. You got those healing rings. You can take that same mechanic of the healing rings and put it to the fucking fire. And I think that'd be pretty cool. There's my choice. There's my choice. Anybody else got a choice? You got any other idea?
I can't think. I agree with that one. That's pretty good.
There you go. All right, boys, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank MrModo number 3 for joining us on the podcast tonight. We went about 3 hours, man. That's a little bit longer than I had scheduled, but those were some good questions, so I don't have any problem with that. I don't know if you do or not. But MrModo, tell them a little bit about your schedule, when you like to go streaming, and what you're working on this next week.
Right now, I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from roughly 5, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time to about 9, 10 o'clock ish. And then on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I'll usually start 7, 8 o'clock.
Is
And
that
I usually
Central Time, Eastern Time?
Central Standard Time.
Central Standard Time. So about the same time I start, up 7
Yep.
p.m. or so. All right, there you go, guys. Go check out his channel, twitch.tv/MrModo. Hit him up on his Twitter at MrModo3. Of course, I am Sir Venom IK. Hey, everybody, what's up? Sir Venom IK, Sir _ Venom _ IK for Twitter, and twitch.tv/Sir Venom IK. If you guys want to have a live conversation, if you guys are over on YouTube, come on in, man. We're here 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time till God knows when, pretty much every day. Programming update. We will, since it is the holiday season, we will not have any more further podcast until January, as everybody that I had approached to join us is unavailable, and I don't want to cut into their family time anyway. So, January, the first week of January, I believe. Hold on, let me bring up my calendar. The next podcast will be January the 7th. That's the first Tuesday in January. We'll have Overlord Bo will join us, and we'll talk about whatever happens in between now and then. And then we will go further along with that. Programming update for this weekend. I will be leaving either Thursday evening or Friday morning to go toward the USS Lexington event. That is on Saturday the 14th. We will be back on Sunday night, getting ready and prepared for our Monday front page Twitch. So you guys were doing a charity drive for Toys for Tots. If you guys want to come in there through Vanquish Gaming, which is the stream team that I'm involved with, we were doing that on the 16th. My front page time, I'll be starting at 7. I think it goes at 9 to like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So guys, come on in and hang out for that, and go check out MrModo's channel. MrModo, thank you again for joining us here, man. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself and you want to come back and do it again sometime.
Yeah, I'll definitely come back and do it again sometime. I appreciate the offer.
Absolutely, guys. Go check out the channel, man. Fantastic dude. Pretty damn good player, I must say. A little bit better than me, but he's not quite average. So, not quite average, my friends. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Episode 39 is now in the books. You got anything else to say to him before we get out of here? Tell him goodbye.
Goodbye, chat.
There you go, chat. We'll see you guys next time. Salutes, my friends. We are out of here.